It is 6:01. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer from the Superbook.com Sports Desk. In the latest college football rankings released last night, Georgia remains number 1, followed by number 2 Michigan, number 3 TCU, and number 4 USC. Meanwhile, Ohio State dropped to number 5 following Saturday's loss to the Wolverines. Alabama is number 6, while Tennessee is number 7, even though the Vols defeated the Tide earlier this season. According to reports, Lipscomb Academy's Trent Dilfer expected to become the next head coach at UAB. A deal hasn't been formalized, but the sides are reportedly expected to come to terms in the upcoming days. Lipscomb Academy faces CPA tomorrow in the Division II AA state championship game. To the World Cup, the U.S. men's national team advances to the knockout stage of the World Cup with a 1-0 win over Iran. Christian Pulisic scored the game's lone goal, though he was injured on the play.
Testa snuck in behind. Testa in the middle. Pulisic scores! Might have paid the price, but the U.S. takes the lead.
It's Captain America to the rescue for the United States.
He suffered a pelvic contusion, but says he will be ready to play the Netherlands on Saturday. The Predators defeated the Ducks 2-1 in overtime at Bridgestone Arena last night. Roman Josi scored the game winner. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Wednesday edition off and running on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors on 104.5 The Zone. With 11-year NFL veteran Ramon Foster, she's Kayla Anderson. That's the best producer in the world behind the glass. His name is Jonathan Schaefer.
The best producer in the world!
And this is the best Group B co-advancing country in the world. The United States of America. My name is Will Bowling. Good morning.
Breaking news, William.
You watched a soccer game.
Hendersonville man. Watch this.
Breaking sports news on 104.5 The Zone.
While out of pocket, Hendersonville man updates his friend who's an adamant soccer fan that he also watched soccer. Back to you, Shave.
Oh, that was pro right there.
News anchor
That's
Ramon
pro.
Foster checking in.
Checking in.
It sounded like
Electric game.
It sounded like he was gonna say found Bigfoot in the back of his yard.
That would be the stuff I
would be,
report.
yeah.
Oh, you send me on location. Hey, Ramon, there's a story in Spring Hill about a guy that's been a Bigfoot for years. That's where I'd go to.
Oh,
Dale.
yeah.
One man, one camera, one mic.
Yep.
All me reporting. I
What a
love
game.
that.
Yeah.
My heart rate was at 140 at one point at the end of that
That's
game.
workout status.
Bro,
I know,
what
I'm
in
aware.
the world?
That's
You didn't even need to work out.
That's fat burn status right there, isn't it?
This
Like,
game hasn't happened for us in 8 years.
what?
8 years. This is the biggest U.S. soccer game in 8 years.
Yeah,
Dang.
Christian Pulisic with the goal in the first half.
How you say his name again?
Pulisic.
That's what he almost did, too. He had to go to the doctor for that.
Pelvic contusion.
Yeah, right.
I saw it happen.
Lawrence Palmer in the office is what he gets. But good game, fun game.
Yeah.
I promise you, not every soccer game is that stressful. That one was, though.
Yeah. Can I act like I watched
Say whatever you want.
You
yesterday?
did.
Can I act
Your
like I
name's
watched
first on
it
the show.
yesterday?
Go
Because
ahead.
I've seen people be like, "Oh, you're not a soccer guy." But either way, it was in the extra minutes. That was kind of stressful.
Kind of.
And
It
then
was horrifying.
and they couldn't get it out of their goal end. And I was just like, but on top of the 9 minutes expiring, the referee on the field had extra time too. And that was just like, dude, end this already.
Well, whole lot
you
of extra time.
You get stoppages in the middle of stoppage time, then you got to add more time. I was honestly surprised they didn't add even more time to the stoppage.
Straight up.
Because there were more stoppages in
Yep.
the 9 minutes. That referee is infamous for just being horrible.
Is
But he actually had an okay game.
I thought so.
I didn't know Jerome Boger did soccer.
Well, if he did,
yeah,
he would
he's a
be
brother.
that guy.
That was him.
No, he's like
yesterday?
known in Spain as one of the worst referees in the world.
Man.
Like when I saw the tweet that he was doing our game, I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
Man.
But he, I mean, it was a good game. They played well, and 2 Nashville SC defenders come on at the end to slam the door.
The,
Yeah.
It was awesome.
I throw this too on that side of just like really piling it on. The post game of the commentator, the analyst was just like, no, screw around. And I was like, oh, man. They didn't say that, but they were just like, they were looking for a lot of things. In the United States, we finally took advantage of holding onto the ball, taking their time, resetting the ball out of
They
bounds
call
and
it
everything.
the dark arts.
Yeah, the dark arts. The analysts after the game were really proud of that, which I guess the USA has always kind of struggled with, or don't know the inside outs of it, or don't do it as well as others.
That's
And
right.
They the post game was really, it was kind of hilarious. It was just like,
it's
if this
great.
was y'all, then you be doing the exact same things.
Yeah.
Don't get mad now. So I thought that was kind of cool when you have that back and forth and just piling it on a little bit. That was kind of cool.
And I think just defensively, I mean, look what they've done. And I think that was the biggest question: who's going to score the goals, right?
Yeah.
And Pulisic came in big yesterday with that goal, but defensively, that team has just been incredible.
It's the first time the United States has kept 2 clean sheets in one World Cup since 1930.
Yeah.
And in 1930, all the European teams rowed on the same boat across the ocean to go
What?
to Uruguay to play in the tournament. That's the last time the U.S. kept 2 clean sheets, which is a shutout.
Oh,
That's incredible.
And
Yeah.
I was getting there.
I
You
thought
were
we was
in
talking
the
about
lingo.
yellow cards or something. No.
No,
That's
no.
also a part of the game.
First time
okay.
they've had 2 shutouts. Yeah, Ramon's just saying soccer terms and seeing what sticks.
I
He's like,
love it.
slide
No,
tackle. You know,
clean
and I think that's
sheets-
really true.
Clean
Like,
sheets to me sounds like no penalties. Okay, like, oh, no flags
Well, I
during
guess-
the game.
okay.
That's what
I
I
could
was
see
thinking.
that,
So
where you're
clean
going.
sheets mean no
Fair enough.
points scored,
Fair
no
enough.
goals scored. Okay, gotcha.
First time they've had 2
learning.
shutouts in a World Cup since 1930.
Wow.
They allowed 1 goal in the entire group stage, and it was to a striker that plays in MLS, plays for Los Angeles, and Gareth Bale for Wales. So
By the way, Nashville SC got a huge shout out yesterday too during the game.
They did?
I love it.
Yeah, they did. That was
They-
kind
I
of
mean,
cool.
so
I know that team.
0
Yeah.
MLS players started this game for the U.S.
That's so crazy.
Well, it's insane. Well,
How
Walker Zimmerman had started the first 2 games, then he was put on the bench for this game.
Because they're
So
all
0
playing
MLS
over.
players.
All American athletes are playing overseas.
Well,
Well,
the
all those
best
were.
of the best.
Best of the best are. Okay, got you.
All those guys. At certain positions, you kind of have to.
Mm-hmm.
Like the goalkeeper for the U.S. plays for my favorite English team
Okay, who's
that I
that?
wake up at 6 a.m. to watch, Arsenal.
Arsenal.
Yeah.
Okay, he is.
That's the first Arsenal
was
shout
Schaefer
I've ever
back
had
there.
on the show. Really made me happy.
He's too good to play in the MLS.
He was playing in MLS, and he was so good he got bought by Arsenal
That's nice.
for $10 million.
A year.
No, just for $10 million. Like you pay the club
Yeah.
$10 million, and now he's a member of your team now.
So how much does he get?
I don't know.
Okay, so that's always a
Couple million a
conversation.
year,
Like
probably.
whatever is reported by their terms is usually more than what it is.
What are you talking
Like
about?
Cristiano Ronaldo, they claim like he gets paid so much more than what's reported.
He actually, no, I mean, it's,
Oh, I
That's
thought
because
that.
what
he's
they
like
report is a ton.
posing on like ads.
Okay.
yeah, like the
he's
endorsements
like a
are
model.
more.
Okay. All right.
top of
Teach
it.
me then. I'm
He's
wide
also
open.
That's
just-
what I'm saying.
He's washed. He would be
He
a clean
is.
sheet because he's washed.
Okay, I'm just.
He's like
wow.
Julio. He needs to retire.
Yeah, no, he is.
Like,
Y'all are
Come
so
on, man.
savage.
Maybe
today.
somebody will call
Y'all
us that
are
Odell
savage.
Beckham is better than him, too.
Yeah, y'all so savage, man, and I love
Anyway.
it.
Tennessee comes in at number 7 in the college football playoff rankings.
Yeah.
Behind Alabama. Something Tennessee fans are not thrilled about. We get into that on this morning's show. It's also a scout meeting Wednesday.
It is.
Coming up in a couple of minutes, we dive deep into what the Philadelphia Eagles do or do not do and how they could be close to a couple of other teams who started the season 9-0, 10-0, including the 2019 New England Patriots, who the Titans have very fond memories of. But which kind of fast-starting team is this team?
I'm intrigued by this team too. By
Absolutely.
the way. And I wrote something in my notes about this Eagles teams, I'd love to know your and Kayla perspective on it too, as far as the Eagles goes, and we'll get to all that too. Will
We will. Brian Rice at 7:20 this morning either talks us off the ledge as Tennessee people or lights the torches and gets the pitchforks out back for us.
like that?
Either way, Brian Rice will join us at 7:20
I
this
booked
morning.
him specifically to light everything on fire.
So he's already got a little cayenne. Is what you're saying? He's spicy already?
Yeah, a little cayenne
Little
pepper this
cayenne.
morning.
Little spicy rice. Okay.
I'm thinking like a fire pit.
You thinking fire pit?
Oh, wow.
The one where you got to sign a waiver
Yeah.
to eat? That's the rice we getting. Oh,
Wait,
wait to see what Brian.
sign a waiver? What are you talking about?
Yeah, you never saw those
Hardly know her.
situations?
No.
Oh, yeah, no, you got to sign waivers at certain restaurants. I had some Nashville hot chicken one time I should have signed a waiver on. I'll never do that.
Hey, if you go to Prince's,
Yeah.
you have to sign a waiver.
You do?
They have the hot or whatever it
For like
is.
the
Yeah.
hottest
wow.
they have, yeah.
Don't get high. Listen, don't get higher than a medium. Caleb, if you
I
Yeah,
don't
you
do
can-
hot.
You can,
I
you
can't
can get
do
higher
hot.
than
you get
Anything.
you do hotter than a medium.
Yeah.
What the heck, psychopath?
Hello.
For real.
Good morning.
I've had this conversation before. You understand, like, to her point, like the hotness that you feel is
Yeah.
pain.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Well,
I
not
made
in
that-
Nashville.
Does it
Not in
burn
Nashville.
calories?
No, it is. It
In
can.
Nashville, it's not pain. In Nashville, you can do the hot stuff with flavor. Like, that's what sets us apart from, like, going to anywhere and just getting, like, hot sauce on chicken.
Not trying to derail us, but the hot sensation that you feel
Yeah.
registers in your body.
Right.
To Kayla's point, you psycho
Sure.
as pain.
But, like, then you're just not eating good hot chicken. Like, if it's good, then it's, like, painful, but it's, like, flavor. Like, you can taste something out of it. That's what sets Nashville apart.
It is. I'm
Yeah.
with you.
Okay.
But I'm not going higher than a medium.
That's fine.
I ate
yeah.
chicken nuggets. That's what
Can I
I'm
have the hot take in the
sticking with.
morning?
Go ahead.
Hot take.
Nashville hot chicken? Overrated.
Yeah, I think you're overrated, so that's
All
great.
Round them up, y'all. Round them up. I'll tell you where he'll be at later
by the
today.
way, I'm sorry there.
The best producer in the world.
The world, Craig. The world.
Oh, what happened to your
mic.
microphone? What?
Shut
No,
him
no,
off.
what happened? What happened?
Everything's fine. Eytan Shander this morning, PhillyVoice.com. A Philadelphia writer comes on at 8:20 this
Is
morning.
he nice?
That's what Jonathan Schaefer tells me.
I know.
Oh, okay.
I'm taking a dig.
Okay.
I love it.
Yeah, I'm taking the dig. I love
And Rhett Bryan in the final hour this morning.
Rhett B.
By the way, I've known the guy for over a decade. I didn't say he was nice.
Okay.
He knows
It's the
Schaefer.
city of brotherly love.
Nice.
so-
Yeah, he's from Philadelphia.
He's nice
Right?
for
Nice
Philadelphia
Nice for Philly.
standards.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
615-737-1045 is the number if you want to jump in. And when we come back, we dive into the Titans' opponent on Sunday, the Philadelphia Eagles, what they do well and the weakness they have that might play into the Titans' hands on offense. That's next on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 104.5 The Zone.
Change is coming and you need to be prepared for it. Hey, this is Ramon Foster. Did you know that new regulations are coming soon that could increase the price of replacing your older HVAC system by over 20%? That's why you need to act now and get that older system replaced by my friends at Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. They offer 18 months with no payments, meaning you can lock in today's price and not have to pay until spring of 2024. Or you can get up to $1,500 off your new HVAC system. Now, Spring Hill Heating and Cooling is always backed by 10-year parts and labor warranties on York products. And Spring Hill Heating and Cooling is also a York certified comfort expert company. If you need repair work also, they offer free service calls with their repairs plus low monthly payments on those repairs. They are the heating and cooling company that can take care of all your HVAC needs. Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, available anytime at springhillac.com.
Rezayan back inside. U.S. players are gassed. Iranians are up. It comes into the box again. An Iranian player looking for a penalty. And the game is over.
Exhale, America. You're on to the knockout rounds.
We will see you Saturday from Khalifa International Stadium for the United States against the Netherlands in the round of 16 of the World Cup.
Absolutely cannot wait for that. Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors, 104.5 The Zone. The U.S. 1-0 yesterday over Iran. And the Dutch await Saturday morning at 9 o'clock with Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson. I'm Will Bowling. Shafe, what are we doing for the game Saturday morning?
I will be calling a state championship game.
Oh,
Saturday.
that's right. That's right.
I will be on radio. Homie's going to be doing TV. So
Yeah.
we'll be down in Chattanooga.
Be in Chat Town, baby.
I will be somewhere in
Chattanooga.
downtown Nashville drinking a
Losing
beverage at 9 a.m. on Saturday
My
morning.
goodness.
At 9?
You have to be like
that's
out and
late.
about to watch it.
I don't know if I actually haven't decided because I could go to the big like official U.S. watch party,
Where's that?
literally like walking distance from here
Okay.
over on Music Row. But I don't know.
You could
I don't know if I'm willing to be in that chaotic of an environment for
you
this
could do
game.
like mimosas.
Why would you
then.
not?
Because I want to like be in front of a TV to like watch it and like actually
See,
watch it.
that's why if I'm invested in anything where I really have to, I cannot be around people. Well, I mean, I can like a
Yeah.
couple people,
Yeah.
but not like a party environment.
I can be around people, but not. I have to have like a seat and a clear view of the screen. Like if I'm like on the side, like underneath, like the corner of the screen, like looking straight up, like I am at like when you play video games at a GameStop on the tutorial while your parents are going around in the mall. Like if I'm looking at that angle at it, then no, yeah.
Okay.
You don't know what I'm talking about?
I don't know what you're talking about. Well,
When you've got like the video game tutorials in like the game store while you're walking around the mall and you're like, Mom, Dad, can I go in and like play some Madden tutorials real
I
quick?
played Nintendo.
Oh, yeah.
And you're right underneath the screen,
yeah,
just
yeah.
looking straight up. Like that's I don't want to be looking like that at a screen.
Yeah,
at the
where I
biggest
come
US
from,
game
we
in a
called
decade.
that babysitting.
Yeah, pretty much. What about a lounge that's calm enough for you to go to? Somebody's got to
A
have
lounge.
it.
Look at
a lounge,
Ramon. I love
what
it.
is-
That's because that'll be my style. I'm with Will
going
on
to a
that one.
spa. Like what are we?
That would be me because I'm with you. I get what you're
Yeah,
saying.
right. I don't want to be
all-
standing up, and I don't want a ton of people around.
That's what the soccer, especially the World Cup. You're not going to be in a lounge.
I was okay,
You
okay. Free
I get what
pub.
you're saying.
A place like Brooklyn Bowl, they would probably have or almost Friday.
Yeah, maybe.
But it's
That's a good
9
point.
a.m.
I don't know.
Sure,
There's a lot
I
of people
would think
that'll open
on the
for
day.
this.
I would think it would be open early.
Yeah. I
For
mean,
that game.
the soccer pub that I go to usually on weekends, like I've been there at 6 a.m. with like a Guinness, like
Yeah.
drinking a Guinness at 6 a.m. watching my
Ooh.
British team.
Had Guinness like maybe 2 times.
Really, the breakfast beer.
It
You
is?
been for real?
That's what they like jokingly call it.
I mean,
there,
I
That-
call it a meal beer because
I was
it's
just
so
going to
heavy.
say.
So heavy.
it has like a coffee vibe to. I mean, literally, like it's not. It doesn't taste like a
if
normal
they
beer.
finished it with coffee, I'd probably like it better. You know, you can get a coffee brew.
You can do coffee with Irish cream there too, which is also
No, that I can do.
I
And
mean,
like an
Guinness is
English
so thick
breakfast?
you can cut it with a knife.
yeah, literally.
I thought you was gonna say you can cut it with a shot, but never mind. Okay.
I mean, probably, maybe not at 6 a.m.
Well, you
but-
can.
I mean, you could if you
See, my
hypothetically
mind,
wanted to. 615-737-1045 if you want to tell me where I should go to watch the U.S. kill the Dutch on Saturday. That's a winnable game. by
Hey
the way.
now.
Kill the Dutch. It's the Dutch team.
What?
Hey.
Right after playing
Whoa.
Iran yesterday? That's not very sensitive.
Relax.
Oh, what is wrong with you?
Absolutely nothing, because there's nothing wrong with that statement.
Dang. Well, okay, so this
Kill
round
the
is.
Dutch. They're going to kill the Dutch team.
So what's this round of 16 like? The Sweet 16?
I mean, it's just the round of 16.
So
If they win, they get France, which is probably
Oof.
not great.
okay, so that
Probably.
moves
I mean,
them to
they
like
still have to.
the Elite 8 is what it turns into after that.
I mean, it's not called that by anyone, but you
I
just
love-
know.
Let
but-
me-
Hey, calm down. He's
Let
just
me-
trying to,
No, I know. I'm
you
just
know,
saying.
compare
You
it to other
asked-
things
you
he
asked and I
knows.
answered. Dog me like this. Will.
As a
You
soccer
asked
fan,
and I
he was
answered.
just born
Yeah.
yesterday.
I'm speaking for me and a bunch
Okay,
of
well,
others right now.
You
Will.
asked the question, and I
Right.
gave you the
Kayla.
answer.
Yeah,
so it's
I
not
agree
what's
with
cute.
you.
You feel me? Thank
my
you,
goodness.
Kayla, for that.
He's putting in effort.
Yeah.
I know. I'm not
Do you-
knocking that. I'm
do
just
you
saying
not
it's not what
want
it's
more
called.
fans? Do
No,
you-
that's not what I said. Listen, if I'm,
Boy, you get brand new around World Cup time. Well, you act real fresh.
I'm really not.
around World Cup time right
I'm
now.
really not. So yeah, you would go to the quarterfinals at that point against the defending champs, against the French.
And they are those guys that knock.
Yes, they are. I mean, they have the best player in the world.
Aren't
That's
they
in
pretty
the tournament.
rude in terms of just when you go to France? So I'm thinking, is the team?
I don't Oh.
Hey, I've never been to Europe.
All these
Not gonna lie.
stereotypes. All the stereotypes.
I have heard from multiple people that have been to Europe that the French are not nice.
I've done London. They were
Exactly. You haven't been to France.
I haven't been to France.
It's right across the way.
That's my goal.
I would enjoy some French fries, though.
So as soon as I get these kids in college, baby, out of here.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, see ya.
No, we got a few
appreciate
years. Few years. Well, we got about 8 years.
They can win on Saturday. Like that. This is a winnable game for them. Netherlands are ranked in the top 10 in the world, but they can't score. And the U.S. has a solid defense.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
this
It's
is
actually pretty-
don't let anybody tell you like, oh, they're better at this than we are. Like
That-
by the way, the only way I'm actually going to get mad at you, like actually mad at you as like a non-soccer person, if
Yeah.
you're like, well, if our best athletes played soccer, then like we would beat these
I'll
teams.
never
like,
have that conversation.
Yeah,
because the
it's
body
not
don't
going that
correlate
far.
the same.
because
I don't think.
you're a smart you're a smart, intelligent individual.
Why would you come at me about this? Well, I've never
No, I'm
even
saying
had
you're
this
smart.
conversation.
I'm saying I'm
No,
we're on the same
okay,
side.
saying like LeBron should play
Like,
soccer.
if LeBron James played
I
soccer,
don't think
we would win it all. Like,
we wouldn't.
the
Like,
body
we
don't
really
correlate
wouldn't.
the same.
No.
You know, in that sense, yeah.
I saw a tweet the other day that was like,
man, if Aaron Donald played soccer,
What is this voice?
I don't know. It's my like
I'm with you.
it's my voice of people that have bad opinions.
Oh, that's what they sound like. I
yeah,
ride
yeah.
with you on that
That's
one.
so
There, yeah.
funny.
they're like, if Aaron Donald played soccer,
And then it's like soccer.
Oh, gosh.
The best player in the world is 5'5", 155 pounds.
If
But
you
yeah,
put-
if Aaron Donald played,
No.
If you threw rugby out there with Aaron Donald, I'm with you on that
Yeah,
one.
sure.
Although-
or lacrosse maybe.
You
I
can
don't know. I
be
don't know
shorter
about
play
that one.
soccer, but you gotta have thick legs,
You
man.
better be fast.
Those
too.
legs, I'm looking at the legs, the shorts.
Okay, your leg.
I
lady,
mean,
okay.
that is some muscle on there.
Anthony
Holy
Robinson, the
smokes.
left back, especially.
No, the trap. I mean, that's what they are.
There's no
They
It's like
Can't
can't.
like
Malik
that.
Willis out there.
Yeah,
He could
Saquon
He
out
had
there.
those soccer legs.
What I was I don't think I should say surprised about, but how spent they were after the game when the final whistle went through. Will
It's tough.
I was
Yeah.
just like, and it's soccer. Watching them play soccer yesterday was what I thought it was if I was just jumping to it. Like it is running. It is like fast bursts all the time. It's continuation of trying to, I guess, make the next move. And towards the end of the game, it was almost like the players couldn't be mad from Iran, right? Like they were just so spent and just
Yeah.
The USA gave them everything, not the USS. USA gave them everything.
Different
Yeah.
team.
But also, as far as close calls, the Iran slide kick, though, Will, that was close on
Yeah.
our goalie. That was.
Yeah, there was a penalty
very
shot at
close.
the end, but no, like these guys are running 7-8 miles a game.
Yeah.
Like the midfielders, like Yunus Musa and Tyler Adams, the two midfield players that played all 90 minutes, or really 99 minutes.
Yeah.
Like we're covering some ground.
Okay.
Tyler Adams is I could spend a whole show on the midfield pivot for
Yeah,
the United
let's not.
States, but I'm not going to. 615
What about it?
737-1045.
No, I just need to know
you
what I need to see then.
No, I'm saying I could go into like the 300 level like conversations about the team, but that's not fit for air.
All right, see, me and Laura will just sit this one out. Laura in the chat.
Well, no, I'm just saying
basically
no one
said-
wants to hear it. Like you would hear the sound of people changing their radios across Nashville if I went into like the analytics and things of that nature.
Okay, for sure.
People don't even like that about football.
Laura in the chat. I'm trying to get us going here.
Yeah.
We're learning today.
lick my backside.
Oh my god.
We got a John in the borough. First up this morning. Good morning, John.
What's up, John?
Good morning. All right, so first off, as a fellow football fan, Ramon, you need to pick a Premier League team. Right now is the perfect time because the World Cup's going to be over in a few weeks, and we're going to have the second half of the season. Me and Will need you to pick a Premier League team.
That's right.
So that we can teach you the beautiful game. all right?
But John, I'd almost be like, Alabama fans. I'd just be picking the real good team.
Then don't pick the real good team. Like it's that
They
simple.
don't,
So don't pick Man City.
Hell, I picked West Ham, dude.
Yeah.
I picked West Ham because I the very first match I ever saw was Carlos Tevez' debut. Just learn some history about the teams.
Okay.
Like some brief history, nothing crazy.
Yeah.
Just do me a favor and don't be a Newcastle fan because nobody likes Newcastle.
That's fair.
I've
That's
had
very true.
there's a real good beer that I had in Pittsburgh called Newcastle. It was really good.
Thank you, John. Appreciate the
Is it?
call.
Yeah. Okay. All right then.
It's Newcastle just got bought by like a Saudi oil basically regime. So I would not recommend.
Yeah. I used to love their beers, though. That
And
was super good.
I recommend watching Ted Lasso to get you really geared up for the
I've been watching
appreciation.
Ted Lasso.
Okay, so you have watched it.
Yeah, I have.
When
I've
is the
seen
new
season
season
one,
coming
season
out,
two.
by the way?
I've seen
It should be soon.
This needs to happen soon.
I imagine they have like a release date that they will drop once the World Cup is over. As many
That's what I'm
promotional
thinking, too.
things as they have done. Yeah, I would say we'll probably know on that soon.
So as far as that goes, it's about as accurate of a show you can have with soccer, or it's just it's
Yeah,
good
it
Hollywood?
actually is. It's pretty good.
See, I never watched Ballers, and people was like, "Oh, it's so
No,
awesome!"
that
and I'm
got
like,
out of control.
It did.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's better than what Ballers is in
yeah.
a sense.
I
Okay,
think so.
Yep.
that works for me.
Let's go to Joe and Laverne up next. 615-737-1045. Good morning, Joe.
Good morning, Joe.
Good morning, Big Mo. Morning, Kayla.
Yo!
Well, the station soccer snob, you got to tone it down a little bit.
Joe, if I was a soccer snob, you would know. Trust me.
Hey, let Mo catch up a little bit, man.
Thank you, Joe. That's all we want, man. I'm asking questions for the people, man. And Will's acting like you should know this.
Hey,
Yeah.
I'm right here with you, Big Mo. And I'm trying to pick it up. I'm trying to be a fan, but man, he's making it awful hard this morning.
No
Hey,
doubt,
perfect show.
Joe.
Love you guys, man. I'll just hang up and listen.
Oh, that's great.
I don't know how I was making it hard.
No, we're just rolling with it. Will.
Exactly.
Joe's basically like, come on, keep asking questions, and that's kind of where
fine.
I want to go with that. Okay, but it's all good.
I will say that like soccer fans are the worst about like accepting new fans. The
Yeah.
absolute worst.
I'm
Because-
sorry, but that is snobbish.
Oh no, it
Is
is
it?
true.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Is like on a scale of
Supporters.
1 to soccer snob, I'm like a 3.
Well, G from
Trust
T-Town
me.
in the chat said, well, that title belongs to Lucas. Lucas that bad?
No, Lucas is not close to a soccer
I
snob.
actually said something yesterday about the game leaving out of the studio, and Lucas came back out of the break room like, what you say? I was like, oh, you're a Brazil fan, but the United States played it. It was something real quick, but I thought Lucas was going to walk down and big boy me. I thought he was going to like rock bottom me.
No, I mean it's like
Yeah.
we as soccer fans are bad about this because people will try to like come in and watch a World Cup for the first time, and it's like, well, you can't talk about this unless you know every single intricacy of every rule, and like you're wrong. You don't know about this, so like your opinion's invalid. And then when people host sports talk shows that don't talk about soccer fans like, well, why don't you talk about us? We're important. It's like, well, because when people do try to talk about you, you just big time them. Like
Yeah.
they don't know what they're talking
Will,
about.
you know what we say to
Yep.
those people?
You, Aaron Rodgers.
That's right.
But see,
Exactly.
that's the thing, though, Will, with soccer. I had teammates, of course, they just Dobbs, okay? Him
Oh,
and
yeah.
He's huge
Zach
into it.
Banner and a few other guys, okay, was just super
Yeah.
just over the top about the conversation. And I'm trying to hear them. They're speaking about FIFA, and then next thing you know, a match will come up, right? And I'm just like, okay, you're hustling a little bit, trying to hear. What are you trying to hear here, Ramon? I'm like, whoa, hey, y'all don't want new friends or something? Like, but like the soccer like enthusiasts are like super brash about, well,
Yeah.
if you don't know, don't say anything about it. And I'm like,
Yeah, I don't care.
what the heck? You're rooting for that team? Front runner. What is it, Man U, I guess, is really good or very known?
Not anymore, but they were really good. They're like the Yankees of. Yeah, they're like the Yankees because they don't really win titles anymore. But
Super
traditionally they
snobbish,
do.
though, if you said you was like, see, there it is.
Well, that's not being a snob to you. That's being a
not
snob to
me.
Manchester United
I
fans.
know, and
who-
I
whom
didn't take
hate.
offense to it, but I was just like, golly. So I got turned off by it simply because
It runs deep.
And then the whole locker room aspect of like a championship belt, if you win like the FIFA for the day,
Oh, yeah.
they passed
Oh,
that
nice.
thing. Yeah, no,
That's awesome.
It's serious, Will.
Nice.
I'd be like, Zach, you can't play
It's-
soccer anyway.
And hockey players, like, they are ultimate soccer fans because most of them are from Europe,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
right? So the Preds, like, big time. Like Philip Forsberg,
Mm-hmm.
big. I mean, he watches it, like, religiously
Oh,
on top of having his own season of hockey.
yeah. That's
Yeah.
freaking insane right there.
If you haven't seen the video of Lucas interrupting the middle of
Oh, God.
Buck's show because Brazil scored a goal yesterday, please go to his Twitter and find it.
Yeah,
I
it's
beg
funny.
you. It's so good.
Well,
Hightower on YouTube watching the show 1045 The Zone TV says Buck was deep and a good take for once too.
That's funny.
And honestly, that's a perfect way to end the soccer conversation. 615-737-1045 is the number. So the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday, Ramon Foster,
yes, sir.
have quite a dynamic offense, but I want to start on the defensive
Okay.
side of the football because Philadelphia has allowed 100-plus rushing yards in 6 of the last 7 games. And in the one game where they didn't, they gave up 99.
Jeez.
New faces on that defensive front. What is the strength of this Eagles defense, quickly before we go to break, and can kind of dive deeper into this group?
The bodies that they have.
Okay.
I think they have a good bit of depth. The names that they actually have, they continue to make plays for them. Like I don't know if I want to call them bend but don't break team, because their offense kind of supports them a whole lot. Like they're top 10 in both categories as far as points scored and points allowed, though, too. So that's the thing about them. You can run if you want to, but the secondary with Gardner Johnson has been pretty good. He's out right now. It's a matter of what that's going to look like without him.
Reed Blankenship,
Yeah.
MTSU product,
Yeah.
is likely going to be the starter.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see what happens at that position. So if there was a strength of them, it's the amount of bodies that they have. Like they have a set for almost everything that you want to do. And I almost feel like they've lightly been strategic in what the plan and map out of what this season is going to look like. Again, they went and got Linval Joseph, who was a big body guy. Sue got signed and actually played last week, too. Got a half.
Forgot
a sack.
about that.
Yeah. So they're stacking up, but I'm actually seeing this trend with other teams too. Heck, you got Kansas City yesterday going to sign another run stopper, Brandon Williams, former Baltimore Ravens. And I'm like, as much as we speak about the passing game, these teams are really going to get big body guys, whether they're old or not, just to have extra bodies to stop the run game right now. Because Linval Joseph, not a pass rusher.
Right.
Okay, Sue was chilling for months. Not really a pass rusher, although he has the intimidation factor of we know who he is. So,
And isn't that the biggest thing, though, about this Eagles defense? Overall, very, very solid. But I think the one spot where they're maybe mediocre is the rush defense.
Yeah.
I think they're like 19th.
18.
18th.
Yep.
I mean, so that's crazy to think that that's like the one part of their
issue.
defense.
Yeah, so them going to get bigger bodies like that kind of lends the fact that they know they got to lock that down before they see a real good running team in the playoffs.
615-737-1045, the number. We talk more about some of those big names on the defensive front for the Philadelphia Eagles and the big injury that forces a change many in Middle Tennessee will be familiar with. And talking more about Reed Blankenship, the Blue Raider from Middle Tennessee State, who is into the lineup when we come back on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors, 1045 The Zone.
When it comes to large home repairs, a lot of the time we homeowners pretend we don't see the warning signs because we're afraid of what we're going to hear. This is especially true with waterproofing and foundation repair. It could be something big that needs to be fixed now, or it could be a small problem that'll become bigger later, or it may be nothing at all. But in these moments, you want a peace of mind, and that's when you need United Structural Systems. With USS, you get problem solvers, experts to educate you and help you understand what's happening with your home. USS will provide an honest diagnosis and stand by their work and warranties. And guess what? If you move, the warranty stays with the house. So you can tell your buyer, hey, you're good. I promise you. But USS, they're based right here in Middle Tennessee and is a member of our community. So when it comes to something as important as your home, USS is the company who cares and the company you can trust. USS serving Middle Tennessee, Southern Kentucky, and Northern Alabama. You can find them online at USSTN.com or you can call them 615-227-2275. We guarantee our best. Call USS.
It's about Kayla and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. We don't say this to the Dutch on Saturday. Don't want to be their friend on Saturday.
Yeah, you've
No
definitely
interest in it.
cleared that up for us, Will.
Damone
Appreciate
Foster
that.
and Kayla Anderson, I'm Will Bowling. All my homies hate the Dutch for the foreseeable future. Foreseeable future just being until Saturday morning. So Titans and Eagles, I think this song could also apply to A.J. Brown and
that's what I
Titans
was gonna
fans.
say.
MTSU safety Reed Blankenship steps in for C.J. Gardner-Johnson out indefinitely. Ramon, how does losing C.J. Gardner-Johnson impact this defense that has got just good, big names pretty much everywhere around that starting lineup?
Man, you lose the lockdown aspect corner of what they are. Of course, I know you brought up what's his name, Reed Blankenship in a sense, but coming off the bench and not being a non-starter, like playing in spurts, is different. You go in, make your play, then you get out. The consistency of not wearing down, the consistency of playing that role and understand every coverage and the conversation back and forth, the communication that you have with the secondary, Reed Blankenship's going to be tested. He should be tested. If I'm Tannehill, whether it's NWI or whether it's Traylon Burks, whoever Reed has got to get it because C.J. Gardner-Johnson's not there. Leaving with him with this lacerated, what is it, kidney? Spleen with this lacerated.
Or kidney, yeah.
Kidney.
With this lacerated spleen, it's 6 sacks, okay? 6 interceptions. A guy that has a sack on the season. He's second on their team in overall tackles, if I'm not mistaken. Second or third. He is a playmaker. This guy has it. And they'll have some questions as far as what they want to do, but overall, secondary is still pretty good. Darius Slayer's on the other side. I expect him to follow Traylon Burks. Why not? Because Traylon's the number one here. You got to find ways to be crafty. Rushing coverage works well for this group, man, in the sense that the secondary's been that good where you can give up those rushing yards, Will, that you speak of, but their guys up front can get to the quarterback because they have such a good secondary.
Yeah, it's a defense that just has names everywhere. Javon Hargrave, Brandon Graham, Hassan Reddick. We mentioned Hassan Reddick, too.
He's just coming back, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got 8 sacks.
He got 8 sacks. Okay.
I mean, this defense is
crazy.
Is pretty good at everything. 4th-year inside linebacker T.J. Edwards with 79 tackles this season. You talk about James Bradbury, Darius Slay on the outside, like you mentioned. It's the number 2 total defense in terms of yardage in the NFL, number 18 against the run. But situationally, this team is spectacular.
Situationally, yes.
The number 1 red zone offense in the NFL. They take that title over from the Titans after this past weekend, where the Titans were 0 for 3 in the red zone against the Cincinnati Bengals. 29 touchdowns on 40 trips to the red zone. Yeah. They have the number 3 third down offense and the number 4 and the fourth down offense. They have number 12 red zone defense as well. And Ramon, this offensive line is experienced, and they do not have a weak link.
They don't. I swear I tried to find one.
They
Will.
really don't.
I was looking for it, and it just wasn't there, man. You look at them and say what you want to. This, to me, led by the heart of this team, too. Jason Kelsey.
Yes.
If you have a
forget about him.
kid, you feel me?
It's like,
like they allowed him to go into a game, get 1 snap so he can continue his starting streak in the league. You know what I'm saying? Between him and Ben Jones' Iron Man, it don't get no better than these two. To me, I want to see them two after the game take pictures with their jerseys, exchanging them.
Yeah.
Because that's just the significance of what those guys mean to their franchises. But just in general, if you're a center lover or a guy that likes to watch the offensive line or just break it down, watch these two this weekend in general, how they command, how they move. If you think your kid's not a tackle, not a guard, these two are the guys you're watching their effort, the way Jason is kind of undersized.
Yep.
But he find angles. He's a fighter. Everything about him. Like, he was probably MVP of that team when they won the Super Bowl, if we're being real.
He was good.
You know what I'm saying? But him and Ben Jones in matchup, I think that's beautiful.
hopefully Ben's back.
Yeah, hopefully Ben's back. But Lane Johnson also, Jordan Mailata are very solid tackles. Malata's a dude, man, that's kind of found his way. Was he an exchange program when it came down to his play?
7th round pick in 2018.
Crazy.
7th-round pick, and he's a starting left tackle,
That
and quite a
does
good
not
one.
happen often.
But that ain't even the craziest part about them. They got other guys that are lower draft picks on this team, too,
Yep.
that did well. Also on the interior, Landon Dickerson, Alabama product, second-round pick from last year,
Coming
man.
into his own.
Yeah, coming into his own. And Isaac Sumalo.
Yep.
At right guard, third-round pick from 2016. I think he's actually working in his contract year. They signed him in 2019 to a 3-year deal, so 19, 20, 21. Yeah, he's up on a deal very soon when it comes down to his play. Good with the run game. Dude, they had 363 yards against the Packers. Now, I know the Packers aren't much to really call home about, but there wasn't a lot that they had to do against the Packers. They ran it up on Green Bay. And this offensive line is circa, what do you want to call it, Will? Taylor Lewan-esque era, to where run left, run right is their stuff. Like, they want to bully you. They are the guys that will say, prove to us that you are what you think you are. And I'm saying all of this, right, in preparation, because this is what scouting is. You tell everything good about them, and they do have some deficiencies, right, at time. I think a lot of the left tackle has issues covering the edge when it comes to defensive end, getting around him and stuff like that. Run game presence, he's good at it. Lane Johnson, about as best as they get despite steroids, okay?
Oh, wow.
But that's good. Solid offensive line, man. Running backs, you got to include Jalen Hurts in that too.
Yeah.
Good.
Isn't
Not
he the
bad for a running back.
second best in terms of rushing yards on the team?
He is. He's number 2 on that team. He's
What?
averaging
500 and
4.7 a carry.
yeah, 500.
And on top of that, 600-pound squat at quarterback. You can't hear
Not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad at
A
all.
little bit more
man.
than my squat.
Their run game, man, Miles Sanders, monster game against Green Bay, 143 and 2 touchdowns, 900 total yards on the season, 8 touchdowns, averaging 5.1 a tote. That ought to tell you what you need to know about who and how he plays the game. Also in the backfield, Boston Scott, Kenneth Gainwell has been there. But good group. The soft spot offensively to me, tight end. Goddard went down, not much there. And I said this too, man. A.J. Brown, we're here. Get
It's
everything
weird.
that
I
you're
feel like
looking
we
for.
haven't been talking about AJ in this week leading up than previous weeks.
I know.
It's so weird.
I know, but AJ has had a good year. Number 1 in all phases of their passing game, 831 yards on the through the air, 7 touchdowns and a longer 52, 2 fumbles also as of late. Devontae, I put him in my note. Devontae Smith, young, fast, a lot of talent, 6 touchdowns. But as good as this team is, I think they have some fragile parts offensively, because after Devontae and after AJ, I kind of say to myself, well, what else is left there?
Right.
And
Quez Watkins is about it.
What has Quez done?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Speed and athleticism, and then piecing that together to be a legitimate wide receiver 3, that's a different conversation.
But if that's their problem, that's their biggest problem. And the Titans,
yeah.
we speak about the offense or the lack of that the Titans bring. I mean, it's not even comparable.
Like I said, fragile, I feel more offensive, because if you can stop that run, then you got something. You drag them to the deep end like the Titans do.
Titans always have a chance to stop the run no matter who they play. So certainly a mix of strength there on Sunday. Something we'll continue to discuss as the show continues with Rhett Bryan, with Eytan Shander this morning as well. Next, though, we dive into the college football playoff rankings and the scenario that could have Tennessee fans livid, and for good reason, coming up in the next couple of days. That's next at Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 104.5 The Zone.
7:02. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer from the Superbook.com Sports Desk. In the latest college football rankings released last night, Georgia remains number 1, followed by number 2 Michigan, number 3 TCU, and number 4 USC. Meanwhile, Ohio State dropped to number 5 following Saturday's loss to the Wolverines. Alabama is number 6, while Tennessee is number 7. Even though the Vols defeated the Tide this season. According to reports, Lipscomb Academy's Trent Dilfer expected to become the next head coach at UAB. A deal has not been formalized, but the sides are reportedly expected to come to terms in the upcoming days. Lipscomb Academy faces CPA tomorrow in the Division II AA state championship game. To the World Cup, the U.S. men's national team advances to the knockout stage after defeating Iran 1-0. Christian Pulisic scored the game's lone goal, though he was injured on the play.
Desta snuck in behind. Desta in the middle. Pulisic scores! Might have paid the price, but the U.S. takes the lead.
It's Captain America to the rescue for the United States.
Pulisic says he'll be ready to play the Netherlands on Saturday. And the Predators defeated the Anaheim Ducks 2-1 in overtime last night at Bridgestone Arena. Roman Josi scored the game winner in the extra frame. Right, foundation repair and waterproofing needs. Visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Hour number 2 of the Wednesday edition on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. With Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson, I'm Will Bowling. He may think hot chicken is overrated, but we still say he's the best producer of the world. And his name is Jonathan Schaefer.
The best producer in the world
of the world. 615-737-1045, the number. So what kind of hot chicken do you think is overrated? Just all of it?
Let me rephrase that. I think it's overhyped.
Okay.
Well,
okay. That's fine.
No.
There's a bit of a difference.
No.
I think
I just don't like hot chicken.
The fact that like KFC feels like, I don't know, like that. Not knocking KFC, but like
Oh, why are you going to KFC?
no, it's because like when you go to like an airport in Dallas and there's a chain restaurant that has Nashville hot chicken, that is overrated. Like the real stuff here that's been here for 50 years,
for
like,
me-
that's
Yeah.
not overrated.
For me, if it's not Princess or Scoreboard, it's just chicken with hot stuff on
That's
it.
fair.
Mm.
That's fair.
That's
I'm
how
more
I
okay
feel
with
about
that.
it.
I'm more okay
I like
with
the Stillery's hot chicken. It's pretty good.
And that doesn't mean that the rest of it is bad. I just think that it's overhyped.
That's fine.
Because I just remember being here, and you do too, Will, being a native here.
Yep.
All of a sudden, Nashville hot chicken became a thing, and I went, yeah, we've got Prince's and a couple other places, but then, Nashville hot chicken, and then it's KFC, and then people are waiting in line for 45 minutes to an hour for
Yeah.
hot chicken that's,
Yep.
number one, not that great, or number two, not that hot.
You know what?
And I didn't understand it.
I'm going to ride with it. I like it. And I like the idea that hot chicken kind of jumped out a little bit, too.
I like it too.
I do.
so where's the place that you go to get hot chicken if it's not Nashville?
If it's not Nashville,
Yeah,
nowhere.
exactly.
I
Yeah.
mean, I don't hardly get it
Right.
outside the city either.
Yeah.
But, yeah, most of the local
So
places
if you
around.
like hot chicken and you want hot chicken and you're visiting, you're going to stand in line for it.
I'm going to find the other spot
good.
to go to, though.
I don't like hot chicken.
You got to
but
go to the
if you do-
lesser known locations of the
Right.
of the places where people go.
The
stand.
Princess is lesser known from the tourists.
Yeah,
Which is
Then-
sad. Yeah.
Hattie B's.
which is why it's
Yeah.
continued to be
Right.
goated.
Yeah. Prince's should be held up. But, of
That's right.
course, the branding of everything is always what takes off.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So Tennessee comes in at number 7 in the new college football playoff rankings, behind Alabama. The official criteria of the college football playoff does not include how bad you lost. But here's why you shouldn't care about that. This is a made-for-TV ranking with an arbitrary system that changes year in and year out when the committee members change. year in and year out. So to the Tennessee fan today that is losing sleep over the fact that you're ranked behind Alabama because according to the official criteria of the committee, who cares, man? It's a made-for-TV ranking. And the fact of the matter is that Alabama fans are trying to take their victory lap of, even when Tennessee beats us, we're still ranked ahead of them. You know what everyone is going to remember at the end of this season when it comes to Tennessee and Alabama? The L that Alabama took and the goalpost that got put in the river.
Yeah.
They're not going to remember that Tennessee was number 7 and Alabama was number 6 in week 13. They're going to remember the fact that Josh Heupel put up a 50-piece chicken nugget on Alabama in Neyland Stadium.
Yeah, 100%. And I think the fan base being upset is more that than it is being number 7. Like I can get it. I knew that 63. I knew it was gonna sting. It was gonna burn. Like that was one of those situations to where, in the world of how the rankings and where Tennessee is, you seem like a one-off. Because if you lose like that to South Carolina, you seem like a one-off. I think Shay said it. I thought this when it happened too. Tennessee being number 7 is you don't get the benefit of the doubt. You're not exactly in the cool kids club yet. Right. It's one of them. Hey, where you get them? You got them Jordans from where? The corner store? It's that. They think we wearing fake Jordans around here right now. It's basically what they look at this season is. It has to be sustained. The teams that are in front of us, other than TCU not losing, I mean, imagine this. TCU loses. They'll have probably the biggest drop of almost anybody in the top 4. Why? Because nobody believes
they're not a blue blood.
They're not a blue blood with it. Tennessee has the history of it, has been in this conversation years back. But this doesn't lend you the grace of this committee to keep you ahead of Alabama.
Right.
Go ahead. I was just going to say, they even though you beat Bama and you beat a lot of the teams that were that good or was ranked, I think they overlooked the Pitt loss. I mean, the Pitt win. Mm-hmm. Why? Because it was Pitt. Pitt was ranked good, but they're not as good as you thought they were, even though it was still a ranked win. I think the product of what Nick Saban has and how the committee has always known them to be good makes it okay for them to say, well, it is still Bama.
Yeah, that plays a huge factor, just the notoriety that Alabama has and just the way that they have been so dominant over the past few years.
Yeah.
But that's not saying that is the right decision in the long run.
I'm with
but like Will was saying, a lot of it is catered around the ratings, now setting up for bowl situations where you're going to be like, what can make us the most money with what teams? And you have to look at it also as, I swear you're probably, if you're on that committee, you're probably thinking, okay, well, in the long run, they're not going to have Hendon Hooker for this bowl game. They still have Bryce. Alabama still has Bryce Young. But I think it's hard, and I side with Vols fans on this fact that it is really hard for me to see when you beat Alabama head-to-head.
Yep.
And Alabama has been, in my opinion, down more than I've ever seen them, inconsistent this year.
2 years.
Yes. And with all the other crap that, they're dealing with, I think, internally, we've seen that with undisciplined situations this year. It's just weird for them to just hop over Tennessee. I understand the South Carolina loss, but they bounced back with a shutout over Vandy.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what it's
I
hard.
ain't with it. I really don't. I think we should be 6. I do.
I agree. I think Tennessee should be 6, but at this point, the situation you're in is Tennessee goes to the Orange Bowl potentially at 7 instead of 6. You have less to lose by playing Clemson than you would by playing Kansas State in the Sugar Bowl. But then you have the caveat of the Tournament of Roses into the Rose Bowl. The Rose Bowl is not obligated to pick the Big Ten champion or the top Big Ten team if the Big Ten champion is in the college football playoff. The bylaws of the selection process for the Tournament of Roses says that when there is a cluster of teams ranked within the same neighborhood and one of them has the idea, has the influence to say they want to go somewhere else, like Ohio State, after a 48-45 win over Utah in the Rose Bowl last year, Ohio State wants to go somewhere else. They don't want to go to the same bowl game 2 years in a row. And that would open up the door for 8th-ranked Penn State to go to the Rose Bowl. That would send Ohio State to the Orange Bowl. And that would then send Tennessee to the Cotton Bowl to likely play Tulane.
That's trash.
No.
And at that point,
That's trash.
you as a Tennessee fan have every right
Yep.
to light the pitchforks if that happens.
Yeah, that's garbage.
And here's the thing.
Yep.
Danny White, you're on the clock. This is
Yeah.
up to Danny White to out-politic Ohio State. And he may not have a choice. It may not work this way, but if you're Danny White and the brand that you have created at Tennessee, the energy that guy brings, and I think the conversations that he is good at having behind the scenes, this is your moment to shine.
It is. I think even that idea to me is trash, Will.
It is.
100%.
Absolutely is.
And that's a portion of it to where I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. You just get screwed. And this is where Vols fans just go crazy with the idea that, look, we've done everything you've asked us to do up until this point. Okay, not top 6. Cool. I'm okay with that. Second in the SEC, we fit that criteria. You're supposed to either get which one? One get Sugar Bowl.
Yep.
2 get Orange Bowl.
Yep.
How can they trump anybody else when it comes down to that decision making? Well, and you know what you say to Ohio State? Do better.
Because the Tournament of Roses consistently plays by a different set of rules than the rest of the bowl games and the rest of college football. They do.
Yeah, and that's what it's not even like and that's the thing. Ohio State's just, to me, you're going to have to deal with it, right? Because that's just the rules that the Pac-12, the Big Ten have with that Rose Bowl. They've always had that. That's the thing about the Rose Bowl that people get annoyed with. They're never going to shy away from that.
Yeah. That's kind of trash to me right there.
The Rose Bowl, who was also given an ultimatum yesterday by the College Football Playoff Committee to decide whether they're in or out on a 12-team playoff or they get left behind. So the Rose Bowl's got some issues with the CFP right now, and add this to the list for sure. When we come back, we bring Brian Rice into the conversation, our friend from Sports Radio WNML in Knoxville. And next, we discuss how Tennessee could end up going to Dallas out of all of this and the panic level in Knoxville. When we come back on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors, 104.5 The Zone. Hey, it's Will Bowling here for my friends at Lee Company, reminding you again that heating maintenances, they're in full swing. Last night, about 55 degrees. Wake up this morning, we're pushing 35. It's a little bit below 40. And Lee Company's expert HVAC technicians, here's what they're going to do. They're going to perform a 22-point inspection and seasonal cleaning maintenance to make sure that your heat is heating when you need it to overnight. Keep your HVAC running efficiently and keep your home warm as we transition from fall into winter. Lee Company has been trusted for nearly 80 years. Since 1944, they're open 24/7, and they have 14 community locations. Over 1,600 employees ready to help you and keep your HVAC running efficiently with this 22-point inspection and seasonal cleaning maintenance. Give them a call at 615-567-1000 and keep your home warm this fall and winter. 615-567-1000, online at leecompany.com. Lee Company, all you need. It's Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors on 104.5 The Zone. Scout Meeting Wednesday edition as we get ready for Titans and Eagles, but also talking college football playoff rankings and why everything is made up and the points don't matter. With Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson, I'm Will Bowling. On the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline, we're joined by our friend Brian Rice from Sports Radio WNML in Knoxville. Good morning, Brian. How are you?
Good morning, Brian.
I'm doing all right. You know, back in the States, still trying to get acclimated to everything like my phone working again. But, yeah, it's been good, and the anger from fans over the college football playoff rankings is in the air.
Absolutely it is. And before we get to that, though, Brian, voice of the Lady Vols, Brian Rice, is well with us. And, Brian, you are the hardest working man in showbiz between Lady Vols games and then you're covering Tennessee basketball on the men's side and their run in the Bahamas. Like, did you get to see a pool or an ocean while you were in Atlantis?
For a couple of hours, a couple of times. It was so my wife and my son were able to come down for the Lady Vols leg of the journey, and so we went out to the pool. But here's the thing. The only negative about Atlantis at all is that all the pools close at 5. Now, it gets a little dark around 6, but you have from 9 until 5 to go to the pools, water park, all of that. So the Lady Vols played early games the first 2 days, and you have time to run back to the room, change, and then go out for an hour. So I had some time there. I had a little bit of time on the off day, but for the off day, I was trying to go full bore on Tennessee men's basketball, going to practice and, trying to shift gears a little bit. But it was a great opportunity and a lot of fun, and I'm grateful that they asked me to stay down there since Bob had to be back for Vanderbilt on Saturday.
Wow. That's crazy. Yeah. Well, yesterday, obviously the anger begins for Tennessee fans when they see Alabama is ranked ahead of them at 6 and 7. And before the Ohio State conversation kind of began, Brian, to me, this was a positive, right? That you could get a matchup with Clemson in the Orange Bowl versus a Sugar Bowl against Kansas State. It's a more fun matchup. There's less to lose. There's more to gain. And then we get this nugget that Ohio State might be able to just choose to go to the Orange Bowl. And with the Tournament of Roses committee and the bylaws they have, they could pick Penn State instead. What do you feel like the likelihood is that Ohio State forces Tennessee into a potential Cotton Bowl against Tulane or UCF at this point?
It's possible. I think the reality of that happening goes down a little bit if USC it's tough because if USC loses to Utah, then Utah is automatically in the Rose Bowl, and Ohio State doesn't want to play Utah again, the rematch or whatever their reasoning is. But if USC loses to Utah, then Utah is automatically in that game. But if USC beats Utah, there's a good chance Utah is still in that game because they won't fall far enough in the rankings. I don't like the idea that then that puts a Penn State team that doesn't deserve to be there out in the Rose Bowl. But ultimately, we're splitting hairs over which New Year's Six Bowl Tennessee gets to go to. And at the end of the day, with where this program has been, I don't think it's fair to just say, well, we don't want to go to the Cotton Bowl. Cotton Bowl is one of the 6 most prestigious bowls in America. So to say we don't want to do that, I understand the anger at Ohio State. I agree with it. I understand the anger at the committee putting Tennessee behind Alabama so you don't go to the Sugar Bowl. I get that. I agree with that. But, and I would love to beat Clemson in an Orange Bowl. I think that would be good for recruiting. It'd be good for perception. It'd be good for going ahead and shoving Dabo on down the aisle. But I'm not going to complain about a New Year's Six Bowl wherever it is. And if you go to Dallas and run roughshod over Tulane or UCF or whoever it ends up being, I think that's also a positive for your program.
But when it comes down to how this committee is formed and what their decisions are, it'll be Rice. It kind of, whether they care or not, and they probably don't, this really takes a dent as far as the conversation with this fan base, whether it matters to them or not, in the sense that, look, just give me the computers back. If this is how you're going to judge stuff, give me the BCS back.
Yeah, it's very bothersome that they can just line up and say, well, a lopsided loss matters more than a head-to-head victory. I don't like that. Look, I understand. The lopsided loss to a then unranked South Carolina team is an albatross that hangs over the neck of this year's football team. Nobody can deny that. But you're ignoring that you beat Alabama head-to-head because of it. That doesn't make sense. Both things should go into the decision-making, but I don't think anything other than head-to-head should matter if you're comparing two teams with the same record that ended up playing it out on the football field. That's all that matters. Would it have made a difference if Tennessee had scored 20 more points in garbage time and made it look like a closer game than it was? Of course not. So it bothers me that a bad loss is more damaging than a good head-to-head win.
Yeah. In your opinion, does the absence of Hendon really kind of takes a part of this decision also?
They won't say that, and that's what's odd to me, because it is in their criteria, just like it is with the NCAA Tournament Committee, that you have to consider what the team is now. And the team now has a quarterback who is not as good as the Heisman Trophy caliber quarterback that led you to those big wins. I don't think there's a huge drop-off ultimately from Hendon Hooker to Joe Milton as far as football ability, but I think Hendon Hooker is a better, at this point, because he's been doing it, leader. He's a better manager of the game as a whole. But if they would just come out and say, well, we devalue Tennessee a little bit right now because they don't have their starting quarterback, I think most people would not like that, but they'd all understand it. But to say, well, we can't really say if that's a factor or not, is either a lie or you're being intentionally obtuse with that. I don't like that at all. Just come out and admit it. It's in your criteria. You're allowed to consider that, so just say you're considering it if you are. Because it would make a whole lot more sense than trying to go with comparative losses, because that's just dumb.
If they do end up going to the Orange Bowl, possibly meeting up with Clemson, see, I look at that and you think that's probably a TV ratings, close to gold, just because of the notoriety that Clemson has had. Not a lot of people love Dabo, and Tennessee is kind of the team that is back up and kind of rebirthing right now. Even without Hendon Hooker, there's still other parts to this team that have been really, really fun to watch. So if you saw that type of matchup, would that be something you think the people nationally would tune into?
Oh, I think absolutely, especially with the shade that Dabo threw last week at Tennessee for losing to South Carolina, and then they turn around and lose to South Carolina themselves. And there's been a long-term hatred for Clemson with Tennessee fans. You don't have an opportunity to play them. For some people, it goes back to the Peach Bowl in 2003, that Tennessee shouldn't have been in the Peach Bowl that year. They were, and Clemson took advantage of Tennessee being a little unmotivated. Then it goes through the run that Dabo had recruiting East Tennessee players, recruiting Amari Rogers, who's T. Martin's son, recruiting T. Higgins, who was from Oak Ridge. And look, Tennessee had Butch Jones at the time. I don't blame those guys for wanting to play for Clemson, but it doesn't sit well with people in this area that for a time Dabo thought he could come to East Tennessee, play the aw shucks, I'm Dabo's Squinty game, and get whoever he wanted. So Tennessee fans have wanted every bit of Dabo for a long time. Dabo doesn't have a special quarterback right now.
Yep.
I think from a football competitive standpoint, Tennessee is a terrible matchup for Clemson. It's a lot like Kentucky. Mm-hmm. They don't score a whole lot, and sometimes they play defense. Okay, sign me up for that right now. So when you're talking about the Tennessee-Alabama, to go circle back to that discussion, it didn't bother me at all because you get a better primetime game. The Orange Bowl is in primetime. The Sugar Bowl's at noon.
Yes.
So that's a huge, attractive matchup that TV would love, but they're not going to tell Ohio State no if Ohio State's going to throw a hissy fit about going to the Rose Bowl, because Ohio State Clemson would do a pretty good number too.
True.
But I want every bit of Clemson in the Orange Bowl if I'm Tennessee.
Yeah, I think it would be fantastic. So Heisman voting opening up. I know Hendon is in the mix. Look, if you look at Hendon's body of work, and it's not his fault that he got hurt, right? It's hard to compare. Caleb Williams, okay, I get it. He's going to be going there. But how do you not get the invite to New York if you're Hendon Hooker?
I think the Heisman Trust has to make a decision here of how many people they're going to invite, because it's supposed to be based on number of top 3 votes that people receive. That's what their criteria is supposed to be about for who gets the trip up there. But I'm with you. Hendon Hooker didn't get the chance to make a last gasp. And look, would Hendon Hooker? Does anybody think that Hendon Hooker wouldn't have accounted for 4 touchdowns against Vanderbilt? With the way that game went anyway, throwing, running, whatever it would have been, he would have had that final statement to get him over the hump, regardless of what happened against South Carolina. Unfortunately, 2 things are in voters' minds about Hendon Hooker now. It's not Alabama's win. It's not all the gaudy numbers. It's subpar game against South Carolina, and then he got hurt. That's not fair to him.
No.
Because that totally devalues one of the most special seasons that a quarterback's ever had in college football. Yeah. But it's what's out there. So I hope that voters are responsible and actually look at the numbers and remember what Hendon Hooker did for, 9/10 of the college football season, because to me that's more important than him getting injured in a game that was out of hand and not having the ability to play Vanderbilt, because he absolutely is one of the 4 best college football players in America this year and deserves to be in New York.
Brian Rice with us this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Brian, do you think Hugh Freeze has read all of our tweets about him yet since he took the job at Auburn?
He is a known tweet searcher. I said it on Twitter. He is one of only 2 people who has ever either called our bosses or threatened to call our bosses when we wouldn't let him come on the air for an interview. He wanted desperately to be offensive coordinator at Tennessee when Jeremy Pruitt was hired, and he DM'd Eric and I, and Eric just ignored him. And I said, no, thanks. We're not in the PR business. And he responded that he was going to go to our bosses because that was a compelling interview, and on and on. I don't know that he ever really did. It's unclear as to whether that happened, but it's him and the PR guy for the My Pillow guy when he was doing a book. That's not a company I want to be in if I'm Hugh Freeze. But Hugh Freeze has some look. He's told Chris Lowe and he's told SI, well, how long do you have to pay for a mistake? My family's paid the price, on and on. And I agree with that to a certain extent. But when you're hiring a college football coach, you're hiring more than just an employee. You're hiring a face of your organization. Yep. You're hiring a leader of men. Yep. You have all these responsibilities. And so Auburn can hire whoever they wanted, just like Liberty could hire whoever they wanted. But it's kind of like free speech. You are free from persecution or prosecution. You're not free from criticism. Mm-hmm. You're not free of consequences. And so to say that it's unfair for people to continue criticizing Hugh Freeze and to continue criticizing Auburn is not accurate, because his story is his story. Auburn thinks he's a good football coach. I think he's a pretty good football coach. I don't value him as high as many people do. Just looking at, he never won the division at Ole Miss. He was able to beat Alabama twice, but not win the rest of his games. Regardless of all of that, I would have concerns about bringing him in as a leader of men in my program. Auburn decided it was worth the risk. It is not unfair to criticize Auburn for that, and especially when your athletics director would not take questions from the media over hiring this controversial figure. That's the thing I have more problem with than anything else, is that their new athletics director, who has not been there that long, would not take questions, say, well, it's about Hugh Freeze. Okay, we need to know what your thought process was, what your decision-making, what your vetting was, more than just your PR statement. At some point, he's going to have to talk, but it's not now, and I think he had an opportunity to explain what they were doing, to explain what they were thinking, and to get people on board with this. Instead, they chose we're not taking any questions way out. And I don't think that's fair to Auburn fans. I don't think it's fair to the Auburn fans that are against this hire. Yep. Because I think it puts a tremendous amount of pressure on Hugh Freeze to win at a high level and do it right away. And I don't know that's realistic with the roster that he has.
Well, Brian, it's odd of you to assume that the PR guy for the My Pillow guy and Hugh Freeze aren't just the same person anyway. So I think there's a very real possibility it might just be the same person.
Might be. Yeah, I think that's a good possibility.
Brian Rice has been our guest, voice of the Lady Vols, Sports Radio WNML here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Brian, always appreciate the time, man. We'll do it again sosoon.
All right, it sounds great. You guys have a great week.
Thanks, Brian.
All right, there's Brian Rice with us on the Mark Spade Real Estate Hotline this morning. I actually, because I saw his tweet about that, and I didn't know that was the story.
That's bad.
He wanted to be the OC at Tennessee and said, hey, can I come on the show? That's great.
That's awesome.
I can't believe the AD is not going to answer the questions that need to be answered now in an I'm sorry, but get it over with. Answer the questions.
I was listening to 3HL yesterday, and a caller this morning, John from the Borough, called in about an experience that he had while in Memphis with Coach Hugh Freeze.
Oh, okay.
Like direct
interaction
with his allegations.
Oh, okay.
Briarcrest.
It was he said it on air. He said it on air. It was like it wasn't Coach Freeze. It was Coach Creep or something like that.
Coach
so
Creep.
like I was just like, oh man, that's what you got to deal with. Like you said, you're forgiven, but Twitter don't forgive anybody.
No, he also just looked like a used car salesman yesterday up there.
Sure did.
Talking. Sorry, but he did.
When we come back, what a 12-team playoff would look like and where Tennessee would be slotted in.
Coach Sleaze, my bad.
Because the Vols would have officially been heading to the 12-team playoff as of yesterday. We'll talk about that. Take a look at the rankings and what a ranking without Clemson, Ohio State, and Alabama in the top 4 looks like. It's a little unprecedented. That's next. Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 104.5 The Zone.
1045 The Zone's annual Toy Field Toy Drive, presented by Hardee's to benefit Salvation Army's Forgotten Angels. That's coming up Tuesday, December 6th. While you're out doing your holiday shopping, remember those in need this holiday season. Pick up a gift or toy and drop it off at select Hardee's locations throughout Middle Tennessee. Find out the nearest location to you at 1045thezone.com.
Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors on 1045 The Zone. Tennessee will not be in a 4-team playoff in 2022, but in a 12-team playoff, Joe Milton and the Vols would have a matchup that many would like to see as it stands already this year.
Yeah.
So as you look at the rankings that come out yesterday, putting Tennessee at number 7, first round 12-team playoff games would give us Tulane at Ohio State. Give me Ohio State in the points. Utah at Alabama, a matchup of one really fun Sugar Bowl for non-Alabama fans. Kansas State at Tennessee in Knoxville would be a fun time.
Yeah.
A Sugar Bowl game
Like
that
that.
many think should already be happening. And Clemson at Penn State, which would be a fun one in the first round. So Tennessee, if they would beat Kansas State, would then get Michigan in a New Year's Six bowl game in a quarterfinal in a 12-team playoff.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I can't wait. Can this be this year?
I'm so excited.
Can we get that playoff now?
Straight up, KK.
It'll be a good time. We go to the phones at 615-737-1045. Coach B leads us off. Good morning, Coach B.
What's up, Coach B?
Coach.
Good morning. Good morning. Hey, man. Y'all was on the afternoon show yesterday. I was at East Magnet picking up my son for football practice, and man, Savage woke me up with all that Pearl Cone talk. And then I look up, I hear Ramon chiming in. I'm like, oh heck no! Let me call in and sense the love they had me on hold for so long, so I couldn't get to y'all yesterday.
Yeah.
Hey man, look at y'all show East Magnet some love too, man. Look at they back to back going to the ship 2 years in a row. We got to face Alcoa.
Yeah.
We might need Jesus and everybody at the table that was eating to see them, but hey, at least we there. So give them boys some love, man. And y'all was talking about Lipscomb too, man. My nephew is a starting running back for Lipscomb, number 22, Andrew Patterson. And I was talking to his dad yesterday. And we was like, man, how do you put 70 points on somebody at halftime in a playoff game, bro? Yeah. That's mind-boggling.
Crazy. Hey, Coach B, I'm calling that East Nashville game, too, on Friday morning. I'm broadcasting for the TWSAA radio network, so we'll give y'all plenty of love.
Me and my family, we going to be down there, man. I'm going to try my best to get over there. If you see a guy in an arm sling coming to you, that's
perfect.
Me.
Perfect.
Hey, I'm going to try my best to get down there. And hey, did y'all see the breaking news about Trent Dilfer?
We've got that slotted to talk about in about 10 minutes here. So yeah, we will Trent Dilfer going to UAB.
I hope it's not true, man. I'm heartbroken for them kids.
Yeah,
I really am, man. I hope it's not true.
Man,
I hope it's not true.
I couldn't believe it.
Thank you, Coach B. Appreciate the call, man.
That's awesome.
You're
right.
Hope to see you Friday.
Too.
That's always tough.
Coach B, one of our favorites.
I like Coach B, man.
He's great.
Yeah, we got to get into that, Will.
We do.
Shout out to East. What is it? East Magnet?
East and Alcoa playing for the 3A state title at the early game, first game on Friday morning.
Yeah.
That's where I will be. So I will not be here
Up and
Friday.
at 'em.
I will be doing that one.
Get to
615-737-1045, the number. We go to Alex in Franklin up next. Good morning, Alex.
Good morning, Alex.
Hey, good morning, guys. So the last fella who you guys had on, he is a basketball commentator. Is that what I'm to believe?
Yeah, among a lot of other
He's
things.
a play-by-play guy for Tennessee basketball, but has hosted a sports talk radio show in Knoxville for years.
Okay. And did he ever play football?
I actually think he did, high school.
High school football. Okay. Right. Well, we live in a world of, second and sometimes third chances. I don't really.
As far as Hugh Freeze?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, as far as Hugh Freeze. And did he do some stupid stuff? Yeah, he did. But is he never supposed to be forgiven for that kind of stuff?
Alex, you an Auburn fan?
Yeah, I am.
I mean, look, here's my thing on this, Alex, man. Like, you can forgive the guy without paying him $6 million a year, too, right?
Yeah, you could. You could.
So you don't have issues with his stuff in the past?
Yeah, I did when it happened. But like I said, people change. People, become better people. So are you going to hold something like that? I guess my question to your commentator would be, okay, so you've got basketball friends who have never done something really bad and really stupid, and they haven't been forgiven.
Alex, let me ask you this. If your son was being recruited by Hugh Freeze, or the idea that Hugh Freeze has to go inside of parents' homes, as far as recruiting goes, you understand that those questions will have to come up. Those questions will be addressed in a sense.
And you will have to speak to them.
So, yes, I think that's the part of the conversation where it's not where I think it's not necessarily you got a problem with him having the job. It's the continuation of the idea around him and what he did around the job. It's the same thing Lane dealt with. Right?
Yes.
In the sense of, are you leaving again? And this shows his ugly head again.
And we're still talking about Lane, and everybody has their own opinions on this. And he's an Auburn fan, and you know what? He has an opinion on it as well, and I get the forgiveness thing.
Yeah, I'm with that.
But what comes along with it is he's still going to have all that baggage, and that's the part of rolling the dice on taking a guy or a gal, whoever it is, that has some baggage. You're going to have to answer questions, and it's going to be tough sometimes, but this is a brand new hire at a major school that has gone through a lot of crap. My husband's an Auburn fan, so I get it. And so right now, you're going to have to answer those tough questions. This is going to be the talk right now.
Yeah.
Now, if he starts winning games and stays on track and does everything right, let him be this next chance for him. I get it.
And on top of that, you fired a guy because of something you thought he did too, and then hired a guy when you know he did those things.
Right.
And I think that's where the conversation.
That's where the conversation is going to be for a minute. Just because.
Well, Brian Harsin they were positioning him to fire him with cause, was what they were trying to do last year. They fired him because he didn't win enough games. And with Hugh Freeze, what he has been fired with cause by Ole Miss, but he's won games. And the one thing I take exception to is this second and third chance thing. Mm-hmm. He went and got a job at Liberty. It's not like he was out of coaching forever. It's not like he lost his livelihood. He went to another gig, got plenty of money. Okay. I'm still not really sure what Hugh Freeze has lost in this entire equation.
Right.
I really don't know.
That's why I feel like it's okay to justify talking about this and bringing this up and people having problems with it because of the past. It's not going to go away all of a sudden. I mean,
I'd love to know if outside of Tennessee fans, how they felt about Schiano and what Penn State's situation was.
I mean, nobody else has tried to hire him.
You see what I'm saying? As far as Schiano goes?
I don't know. I mean, there's a reason why. I mean, Rutgers is the only place that's tried to hire him. And they did because he had Rutgers experience, which that makes sense. But it's apples and oranges to me in that context.
I know it is, but it's always what follows you.
Yeah. Well,
so it's going to be discussed anytime you get hired at a university and get paid tons of money, especially at Auburn. It's not Liberty. It's Auburn. We're going to be having this discussion.
Yep.
It is what it is, right?
Yep.
Next, we continue the conversation to take a look at a major story that Coach B mentions, a big high school football name in Nashville who is reportedly taking a job in Power 5, or not Power 5, in college football, not just as a coordinator, but as a head coach at halftime of the show. When we come back on 104.5 The Zone.
It's Ramon Foster for Craftsman on the Hill. And by the way, I was there yesterday with our teammates, 3HL. They were having a good time, man. Let me tell you this. It's Hermitage's best bar, probably Nashville, if you want to go and just sit back, shoot some pool, throw some darts. They got poker nights. They got everything you want, man. also have one of the best menus around to take bar food to an all-new level, featuring their delicious smoked wings. Saw them yesterday. The smoked brisket was on the table. Smoked chili brisket was on the table for the gang. It was a real good time, man. Our owner JT is really pushing this spot up to a new level. Plenty of TVs to watch your favorite sports, and your favorite sports team is locally owned, as I just said, and operated under new management. Everything you want to eat or drink, your favorite beer, spirit. I saw some Blandings there. I saw some Angel Envy, a lot of different bottles that you guys would want to sip and enjoy a real good night or evening or afternoon. Plenty of nightly drink and food specials, too. Again, Craftsman on the Hill, located at 3424 Lebanon Pike in Hermitage, Tennessee. Go see them, and when you walk in, you tell them Ramon sent ya.
8:02, good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer from the Superbook.com Sports Desk. The latest college football rankings released last night. Georgia number 1, Michigan number 2, TCU number 3, USC number 4. Meanwhile, Ohio State dropped to number 5 following Saturday's loss to the Wolverines. Alabama number 6, Tennessee number 7, despite the Vols having defeated the Tide this season. According to reports, Lipscomb Academy's Trent Dilfer is expected to become the next head coach at UAB. A deal hasn't been formalized, but the sides reportedly expected to come to terms in the upcoming days. Lipscomb Academy faces CPA tomorrow in the Division II AA state championship game. The U.S. men's national team advances to the knockout stage of the World Cup with a 1-0 win over Iran. Christian Pulisic scored the game's lone goal, though he was injured on the play.
Dest is snuck in behind. Dest in the middle. Pulisic scores! Might have paid the price, but the U.S. takes the lead.
It's Captain America to the rescue for the United States.
Pulisic says he'll be ready to play the Netherlands on Saturday. And the Predators defeated the Ducks 2-1 in overtime last night at Bridgestone Arena. Roman Josi scored the game winner. For our foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your own for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
And the show goes on into half number 2. On Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. And the second half of the show is where we play our best ball. On a Wednesday with Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson, I'm Will Bowling, the best producer in the world, Jonathan Schaefer, making the show happen.
The best producer in the world!
World. Rhett Bryan coming up this morning at 9 a.m., our weekly conversation with him. Eytan Shander from Fox 29 Philadelphia and OddsShopper.com gives us the word on the Eagles coming up in 15 minutes. But a breaking story last night from Ross Dellinger, Pete Thamel reporting the same, that Lipscomb Academy head coach Trent Dilfer is expected to become the next head coach at UAB. How about this? A team that plays a state championship tomorrow against CPA. Again, I might add, that's been a very common matchup in the Division II AA state championships in the TSSAA playoffs, is reportedly headed to Birmingham.
I was shocked. I was laying around last night because the storms had the, it was coming up. So I was monitoring that, and I was breaking news this late.
What time was that?
Yeah, it was close to 10,
It was 9:56 p.m.
Okay.
See, that's past my bedtime.
Mine too.
But I was like, the one in Nashville? That guy? I was shocked, and I ain't gonna say it floored me. But I've been around Trent one time, and I had no idea that this is what he wanted to do outside of high school football.
Yeah.
I think it was more of that. Then I started thinking of the kids and started thinking of Lipscomb and just, what they're going to be post him. Can this sustain? Like, that was next. Well, what is Lipscomb now? Because they went outside the box and hired a guy that's, outside of the city, and this is what we're left with right now. This opportunity. I had no idea he was interested.
So I covered his first season working full-time at News 2 when he was hired at Lipscomb Academy. And we went out there and did a big story on him, and just that team was nothing at the time, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it was the start of everything. So we were out there for almost a half day, just kind of, watching practice and all of that. And he was just the first to admit, like, I'm just going in. We're going to see what happens.
Really?
I remember him saying that, like, we're just going to see what happens, right? Because he had no coaching experience.
No.
Like, he has experience playing football in the NFL, all that.
Yeah.
I will say this, like, I'll give him credit. What he has done at Lipscomb is pretty incredible. I mean, he's built teams, right? I mean, he's brought in guys, specifically, but
in that school you can do it.
He's built really good teams that have competed, and they're competing again. But it's really hard. It's really tough for me in any situation, but especially high school, to know now that these kids are, not going to have a head coach that they thought they were going to have. And I just hate that the news came out right before the state championship. Like, just don't even leak it.
It's tomorrow. I mean, it's tomorrow at 11 a.m.
Yeah.
Is when they play CPA in the state title. A rematch of last year, the year before that again as well. I mean, this team's 12-0 this year. Lipscomb is. They beat Silverdale Academy in the quarterfinal of the playoffs, 77-13.
Hold up. This is the first game of the year?
First game of the playoffs.
Oh, where teams are more polished.
Where teams are good. 77-13 and beat Webb School out of Knoxville. Coach David Meskey, a legend, actually coaching his last ever game before he retired. And this is his last season. An undefeated Webb team out of Knoxville. Todd Kelly Jr., a Webb Spartan, for Vols fans who remember him, beat them 44-7 2 weeks ago.
This is the portion of this sports world now that's bigger than ever when it comes to recruiting in high school, recruiting at college level and stuff like that, man. To where I say to parents and to kids also, hey, choose your own destiny.
Yeah.
Don't go to a school because this coach is promising you something. If there's somebody else that possibly wants you, you know what? Screw what they got to say in these situations, because all I can think of last night was, what is Lipscomb right now after him? Okay.
They're
what about
moving
those,
up a division too.
which is different competition.
Yeah,
more likely,
Division
right?
2 AAA with MBA and Brentwood Academy and Ensworth and Christian Brothers and McCauley and Will Muschamp's son, who's quarterback at Baylor. Like it's the SEC of high school football in Tennessee.
So when it comes down to coaches promising your kids stuff, man, it's rough, because for those kids that came out of state to go to that school, because he built a juggernaut of a brand. There's so many people that dislike him because, you just going to come in. Well, yeah, Trent was able to do that. He bodied the entire division when it came down to what Lipscomb football has turned into. And now here you are left with these athletes if he takes this job, because I don't know if it's solidified yet.
Not yet.
But they're flat on their face. You know what I'm saying? Can't nobody do what Trent did.
I imagine this will not become official until after they play CPA tomorrow. I would say Friday at the absolute earliest, which I imagine is why there has not been an official announcement. But the timing of it certainly unfortunate for a lot of those kids, but a big opportunity. I think he'll succeed there. I think Trent Dilfer has learned how to build something from the ground up at Lipscomb Academy, which he's done. They've built facilities. They've made the infrastructure of a championship level program at the high school level that I think is going to be sustained once he's gone as well.
At Lipscomb, you think?
I think so. I think he's built that thing, and I think they will continue to hire another big name and sustain, maybe not to the same level that he has done, because he's done a tremendous job with that program.
You say that, though, and I'm with you on the idea of it happening, and I'm not saying you're wrong. But the thing with Trent is this, though, too. Trent built that as his baby.
Yeah.
Right?
True.
He gutted everything out around it, right? So Trent going to college. What college coaches do Trent know? He going to bring the majority of that staff, I would think.
He knows
all
a
of them.
lot.
But I would think he would bring the majority of that staff with him, meaning the shell of
He's
what
got a lot of
Lipscomb
former
is.
NFL players that coach with him.
Yep.
The shell of what Lipscomb is probably going to leave with him.
I don't know. He's built facilities there. Like they've built him things that are to last. I mean, they've got an indoor football facility there now.
Well, and the facilities were being built even before he got
right.
there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Like they made an investment in the program of facilities, and as a part of that investment, invested in bringing in Trent Dilfer.
Yeah, because a lot of that got started at the end of the Scott Tillman era, which was when I was calling games for Lipscomb Academy. And Scott Tillman was between Coach McAdams, who legendary in this area, and then Trent Dilfer. The investment was being made by Lipscomb Academy a good year and a half, 2 years even before Trent Dilfer got here.
For sure.
So in terms of the infrastructure, in terms of the investment, that's going to remain.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And who knows? Like, this is what I'd like to ask Trent if we had him on the show today. Like, when did you see this coming? Like, how long has this been a thought process that you wanted to go to college? And have you done anything to make sure that your so-called baby that you've kind of produced here is going to be in good hands, right?
Right. Yeah. And because you can have a great program like Tennessee, and then you hire Butch.
Well, I mean, high school, college are apples and oranges too, though. I mean, it's
not the way they're playing it, though. Will,
I know, but that's the point: is that they're treating it like a college program. So again, they have all of that built already.
Well, but you also had Lipscomb Academy, which it was called David Lipscomb back then, Ramon. That was good for 3 decades.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this is not a flash in the pan in terms of
Right.
a program.
It's just been a while.
Right.
It's been a while.
But
It
it's
has been a while.
Yeah.
For sure. Coach McAdams is a legend.
So, okay, I respect that. I didn't know that. And that's why I'm asking these questions, like how sustainable is this after Trent Dilfer? Because all I've heard of Lipscomb is Trent Dilfer. Have you seen what he's doing? So to me, it seemed like he was the attraction.
Well, he was the new hotness.
I look at this as like, okay, MBA, BA, every school around here is now going to try to take a victory lap and be like, now it's gone. Let's dump you into the ground.
Because those schools have never had those schools don't really have down years. Like down years for those schools is, going 8-2.
Well, and the other thing was you have to remember that Lipscomb Academy until fairly recently was a Division I school and not in Division II. So
Exactly.
now they're climbing up in Division II, that these are now going to be newish or just flat out new rivalries from them once they go into the reclassification.
And by the way, I'm not knocking this at all.
I know.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get understanding.
It's good
of
discussion.
What's next for this school?
Sure.
And to
that's okay to ask. And it's a new era of everything.
Of everything, you're right. But to draw a kid from, if it's true, from out of state,
Sure.
Texas, California, New Jersey, to come to Lipscomb, that's the point in which those schools, all those other private schools in this area is like, well, now you lose that.
They're going up to Division II AAA, and you've got Lipscomb Academy, Brentwood Academy, MBA, Innsworth. I mean, it is that league has always been a juggernaut forever.
Yep.
It is about to be, since the public-private split in the 90s, but it is about to be unbelievable. No doubt about it. When we come back, we continue the conversation on Titans and Eagles with Eytan Shander, who gives us the word out of Philadelphia from Fox 29 Philadelphia and OddsShopper.com. The growth Jalen Hurts has taken this year and how Philadelphia has taken to A.J. Brown after a few fumbles in the last few games. We get his thoughts next on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 104.5 The Zone.
Are you sick and tired of living with that constant pain in your knees and back? Joint pain doesn't just keep you from doing what you love. It affects your job, your relationships, even simple things like getting dressed. It's Ramon Foster, and it's time for you to call QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics uses advanced regenerative medicine to restore and repair damaged joint tissue, giving you your life back. Those hips, shoulders, elbows, they can all be treated with natural biologics from your own body. Powerful healing agents that are highly concentrated. And if you're tired of the steroid shots that don't work, or if you're trying to avoid surgery, call QC Kinetics now to schedule your free consultation. Learn about these exciting new cutting-edge treatments for pain caused by arthritis or injury. No drugs, no pain meds, no downtime. This is an all-natural treatment that can get you lasting relief, and people here have been raving about the results, and appointments are available for this coming week. QC Kinetics in Nashville, Clarksville, and Murfreesboro. You can call them at 615-249-4024. Again, that's 615-249-4024. Did I miss?
It's Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors on 104.5 The Zone. With Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson, I'm Will Bowling, Jonathan Schaefer, our producer, as we continue to talk Titans and Eagles coming up this Sunday. And we go to the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline, where we are joined by Eytan Shander from Fox 29 Philadelphia and OddsShopper.com. Good morning, Eytan. How are you?
Oh, I am fantastic. Team, how's everybody doing?
Hey.
We are great, and we're looking forward to a big matchup Sunday. And if only there were any storylines between A.J. Brown and the Tennessee Titans to talk about this weekend.
Yeah, here's the crazy part about it is, and I think everything is all in a vacuum, right? Everything's relative. But the A.J. Brown revenge tour, if you will, or coming back and shoving it or sticking it to the former team narrative is kind of low on the hierarchy of what's happening in Philadelphia, only because so much time was spent this offseason on local radio and TV asking questions like, does Jalen Hurts have it to lead this team, or whatever else people need? And I'm one of them, to kill 2, 4, 6 hours, depending on how long you're on the air. But the other part of it is looking at this team. They're 10-1. So not only has Jalen Hurts exceeded a lot of people's expectations, the team has as well. And then, by the way, there's this whole thing about what the heck were you guys thinking? Now, look, I've won some good money off Traylon Burks, so I love the fact that he's stepping in and starting to do some things down there. But, what the heck were these guys thinking down there? And now A.J. Brown is motivated, and he's a talent. So, that's definitely something that's happening. But you have to be just fair to the situation here, where that's kind of like the third, maybe fourth thing we're looking at now.
Mm-hmm.
It's so interesting, and when you take a look at what this Philadelphia offense has been, much was made about the friendship between A.J. and Jalen Hurts, and how much growth have you seen from Jalen at the quarterback position this year? Where do you feel like he's maybe improved the most?
I think trust in who he's throwing the football to, but also that he can make the throws that he's asked to make. And that's the biggest thing. Look, this is a confident kid. Anybody who follows SEC football knows exactly who Jalen Hurts is and the work ethic and what he's put in to succeed and to get here. So when he told us last year, hey, I'm going to work on some things this offseason, everybody believed it. And he really did. And I think it's one thing, as you all know, all of you have been on the field, have been in the locker room, have covered, have played at some extent, right, to a high level, remote. So that it's one thing to tell people, hey, I'm going to do this, and then you do it, and then, okay, do it on the field. He's done all of that. And trust in himself, and the trust in a guy like A.J. Brown to make a catch, to throw him open, to throw Devontae Smith open, to throw Dallas Goedert open. That's the biggest change that we've seen with Jalen Hurts this year.
Man, that's him. That explains everything about him. And Eytan, this right here is the question I have. You said something a second ago, really piqued my eyes up a little bit. I'm just like, oh, so you guys didn't really think there was an opportunity to go get a guy like an A.J. Brown, is what you're saying, until it actually happened? Because I look at this and I see why you go get him. Quez Watkins, Zach Pascal, Devontae Smith is young. Dallas Goedert's out now. If you don't have A.J., what is your wide receiver core too? So this was necessary for you guys.
Absolutely. We have a love-hate relationship, and I think it's the team, honestly, with the wide receiver position, where we love the position, but a lot of times we hate the result. And look, it's not a knock. Guys like Nelson Aguilar, Jalen Reagor, Nelson has gone on and done some things in the NFL. We still root for a guy like Jalen Reagor, but, not everybody's T.O. that steps in here for a year and a half and dominates the NFL. So when we saw A.J. Brown available and we saw Howie Roseman, the maneuverability to get a guy like A.J. Brown, immediately it felt, and I'm telling you this, I felt it. It felt like 04. It felt like they had this final piece of a number one, a definitive number one wide receiver that can only help. Like the only thing that would hurt A.J. Brown's arrival here is if he were a bad guy or if he just forgot how to play football. And neither are true from my experience with him. So that is just an automatic upgrade. It felt like that. I'm telling you, Ramon, I was there in 04, And everybody was like, oh, my goodness, man, they got T.O. They got T.O. 30,000 people at Lehigh to watch a preseason practice, the game against the Ravens up top, first play in a preseason game. Like, all of that memory started coming back because AJ's not T.O. I'm not saying he's T.O., but his arrival felt and mirrored that.
Wow. There's so much to go around this team, man, this Philadelphia team, because on the defensive side, and I hate talking about defensive guys, too. I really don't like them. But besides that, though, you have names on the defensive side of the ball, and not just names, guys that actually still play and make plays. You signed Sue 2 weeks ago, and he gets a half a sack. You still got Fletcher Cox. You got Javon Hargraves, one of my former teammates, that's got 7 sacks on the season, man. Yes, you're giving up the line of scrimmage as far as the run game goes, but what's led you guys to be still a top 10 defense when you look at how you've kind of got all these star/names on that defense?
All right, I'm going to make a cross-sport analogy here, so bear with me by all means. But at least it's something that I think a lot of people can follow, because even if you don't like the NBA, you know who LeBron James is.
Right.
LeBron, especially in Miami, had this idea of building teams. And it always got knocked for, like the 4th or the 7th or like the 4th or the 6th guy on the team. But you start looking at guys like 7, 8, 9, guys coming off the bench in limited roles. Who are they? They're former All-Stars. They're guys that played at a high level, 35 minutes in their peak, but they're just hanging. Some of them, they're ring chasing. They're ring chasing, but they're out there playing 18, 20 minutes. If I can get 30% of the snaps for Ndamukong Suh, for Linval Joseph, if I can get a rotation now, if I can get a NASCAR package in there with some faster guys, if I can start rotating Fletcher Cox out a little bit more and extend his battery life, same thing with Brandon Graham. Let me tell you, the heart and soul of this defense, at least the front, is a guy that we didn't talk about, and that's Hassan Reddick. This man came back to this area, and he's already a local legend in Camden, New Jersey, for what he's done here, and you can just feel it. Like his energy, his mouth, his everybody loves him and gravitates. He's a fan favorite as well. So guys like that have energized this defense. And then you mentioned, they can pull in Ndamukong Suh and Linval Joseph off the street and not ask them to play 70% of the snaps.
Robert Quinn still there too, and what about Jordan Davis before I pass it to Caleb? Both, I saw Jordan Davis running. Where is that, and where's Robert Quinn?
Well, Robert Quinn, again, the idea of bringing in Robert Quinn was like the rich person's version of what I just mentioned with Sue and Linval Joseph, right? Whereas it's like, hey, we have a guy now who is not past any prime. If healthy, he can come out there. Jordan Davis, I know, looking to pull him off the IR, and that's a big thing because you saw that. Like, this is a monster of a human being. He's such a fascinating and awesome kid. He's a fun kid, but I cannot believe how big he is. I've stood next to Shaq, and he's the only person that I thought, like, is he actually, like, massively bigger? Like, it's insane. But that I say that because he is that big on the defensive front, and he can really cause havoc to stop the run. Without Jordan Davis moving forward, they're still in this heavy rotation. That's their biggest weakness, and that's hopefully what you guys are going to start to exploit on Sunday.
So speaking of the defense, C.J. Garner-Johnson out with what feels like just a painful injury for anybody who's listening, like a lacerated kidney. Goodness. And Reed Blankenship, a guy from right here in Middle Tennessee, went to Middle Tennessee State, was a good player for them. He's going to likely step in. First of all, how big is that loss, and what can you see about a guy who's going to have to step up in that place?
So the loss is gigantic, and it's not just because CJ was playing well and Gardner-Johnson came in and really just, again, similar in his own way, of course, like a Hassan Reddick, injected energy and into this fan base, into this defense. But he was making plays too, Kayla. Like, that was a big thing. He was out there making plays, and I think now you're already thin in the secondary, especially at the safety position. So it's no knock on Reed Blankenship. This kid fought his way on the roster. And Philadelphia, and I hate it, Jonathan Schaefer will tell you, I spent 2.5 years down there. I tried to move away from the Rocky movies as much as possible, the cliche of the underdog. And, I didn't hear no bell and all the other stuff there. But Reed Blankenship may be the perfect embodiment, if this kid could come out and make a couple of plays, of an underdog story. He's not going to steal anybody's spot moving forward, but I think he can certainly make a name for himself and maybe get a job, if not here, then moving forward. But look, there isn't as much talent in the middle of the secondary right now, and that's just the reality of it.
So here in Tennessee, Mike Vrabel, his team has taken on kind of his personality since he's been here. I mean, it's a tough-nosed team. They're going to do anything for the team. I feel like, in a way, it's similar in Philly right now with Nick Sirianni. I mean, this guy is going to speak his mind. He's all about the team. Like, how has it been to watch that locker room under a guy like Nick who feels like everything is just fitting right now in Philly?
So first off, let me just say, full disclosure, I love Mike Vrabel.
Yeah.
I love everything about him. And, if they were, I root for the Titans every week. I bet the Titans, by the way, at +7. So I'm okay this week. Even if the Eagles find a way to squeeze, I don't think they cover. And I agree 1,000%. Like, I'm not down there anymore, but it's palpable. It comes off the TV set when you're watching this team that they exude his personality. So where I think it differs a little bit with Nick Sirianni is that the team isn't necessarily a reflection of Nick Sirianni. Mm-hmm. Nick Sirianni is a reflection of the fan base. Nick Sirianni has completely melted himself into a pot to where you cannot tell the difference of the ingredients of fan or head coach personality. And the team is just taking its cues because normally, and look, Ramon, I'll defer to you and anybody else who's listening that's played at the highest level, when you have a fan base like Philadelphia that is open and crazy, but also as passionate and loving as can be, you want to play to that. And when you have a conservative coach who doesn't show it, and you have, like Doug Peterson, here's another guy that just was so open to it. Andy was beaten down by his 13th, 14th year. It was just business, get me out of here. But as soon, Chip was, we don't mention Chip in Philadelphia, so we'll move on. But, that's what I think the biggest change or it's not even a negative, it's just the change where it kind of diverges is Sirianni has totally embraced this fan base. He's aggressive. He's going for it on fourth. He's jumping up on the stands on away games with his arms up. And the team looks over, and I guarantee you this, the team looks over, everybody on this team looks over and sees two things. Every week they see two things. And again, I'll defer to the gentleman who played at the highest level in the NFL here, but there has to be something to this where they see two things, Caleb. They see on one side Nick Sirianni, who is the crazy man. He's going nuts. He's jumping up and down. He's coaching, but he's also just a fan, if you will, embodying that. And then they see Jalen Hurts, who is the complete opposite. No matter what's going on, no matter how bad or how good it is, he's a rock. His face doesn't change. His emotions don't change. And you have this balance so that no matter where you get in where you fit in, because no matter where you are, there's room for you on this team.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Eytan Shander with us, Fox 29, Philadelphia. So Ramon doesn't like talking about defensive guys, but I always have to work in an offensive line question because if I don't, he will. Speaking of rocks on this offense, Jason Kelce is as much of a rock as one could have in the interior of the offensive line. How do you see this matchup going against Jeffrey Simmons, this Titans defensive front, and Tier Tart, some of those lesser-known names that have become household names in Nashville? How does this Philadelphia offensive line stack up against past groups there that you've seen?
So I think you're looking at a team now that's able to truly flex. And I think the team has embraced that it's a running league and not many quarterbacks can match what like 3 or 4 guys can do every week, Mahomes and then fill in the blank. Like you need to run the football. You need to run it effectively. They built an offensive line to do that. There are some massive individuals on this line. So it's one thing to have a running type offensive line, right? We go back to what I said at the start here, where it's one thing to talk about it. It's another thing to do it. They run better than I've seen any team run. And look, this is Trey Thomas, Jonathan Runyon type bookend tackles we're talking about. Brian Westbrook, who probably should have had more rushing yards if Andy Reid did commit more to the run. That's not a negative. It's just a statement. So, but this is insane. Well, Sean McCoy had a record-setting year, but that was Chip Kelly where he sacrificed so much, and it wasn't as effective as it is here. So, yeah, the numbers may be better that Chip year with Shady, but there is nothing more effective than what the Eagles do. They punish teams on the ground. They physically punish teams on the ground. And you know what it is? It's like if I lined up against you and you had your pads on and I had my pads on, and you looked over at Will and Kayla and Schaefer, and they were like, hey, man, just kind of tap them. And you were like, nah, man. And you just every single time. I probably wouldn't even get up after the second time, maybe not even after the first. But it was like, no. You just keep hitting me, and you keep going full speed, and you don't let up. It's the kid you feel sorry for that you're playing, 5-on-5, and you kind of lay off a little bit. No, they put their best defender on that, and they say, don't let him do anything. Like it's unfair at times how well they run the football. So I think it's just a blanket statement that until they get stopped doing it, they're a problem for every defense.
Eytan, on the way out, you mentioned some of the weaknesses. You mentioned the strength of this team in running the football. What is the element of Philadelphia that national people are not talking about enough? What is underappreciated about this Eagles team that you feel like they can build on moving forward into the end of this season?
I think the most under-discussed or maybe underappreciated thing going on. And look, this is a hard question. Let me just say this here. Part of me is just thinking this through as I talk it, but
sure.
A lot of it is it's a hard question because this team is 10-1. This team has an MVP candidate in Jalen Hurts. This team is winning games that a lot of times they probably shouldn't. Okay, that's it. The under-discussed point, I think, is probably what's being talked about too much, which is, they're not really 10-1. Or probably another, I'll give you two. They shouldn't be 10-1, like there's something negative about beating teams that you should beat or finding a way to beat teams that you should beat, especially on the road. Like, I don't care what the score is or what the scenario is. You beat a team in the NFL on the road, I'll take that every single time. That's one thing where I think it's just being over-discussed, that this team is lucky or fortunate. Every team that wins is lucky or fortunate. They get a bounce that went or a call that went their way. Stop. The other thing is, and I hear this locally, I just wrote a column about this week, Jalen Hurts is running too much. He's running the football too much. He's going to get hurt running the football too much. How many times have all three of you seen a guy get just mangled because he's so vulnerable, throwing the football in a pocket where he doesn't know who's around him?
Yep.
So they want Jalen Hurts to drop back and throw more as opposed to be in controlled situations where you're carrying the football and you can slide to avoid the hit. So I think those are the two big misnomers now, Will, that are brewing when it comes to this conversation about the Eagles. And look, I get it. Like, you have to find something wrong. I would just focus on the fact that anybody, including the four of us collectively, could run through this Eagles defensive front. That's the biggest problem.
You're overestimating the fact that I'm like the most unathletic SEC athlete in the history of the conference. So I appreciate it.
I went to Gettysburg College and I barely made a club team. So trust me.
Eytan, is he really squatting 600 pounds? Jalen Hurts.
Jalen?
Yeah.
That's what we see. Yeah. I mean, look,
Crazy.
But you know what it is, too? Like, I want you to go full Madden on the TV, all right? Ramon, next time you see this game and pause it and then zoom in because he has this crouch, right? He's not normally in the gun. Like other guys are standing up. Jalen has this crouch, right? It's almost like a quasi-squat, like a catcher. I'm sorry, man, but you're not in that position for an entire game on offense without squatting at least 600 pounds. You got to be in shape for that.
Unbelievable. Eytan Shander has been our guest, Fox 29, Philadelphia, and oddshopper.com. Thanks so much for the time, Eytan. Really good stuff and a good scouting report for us here at Nashville.
Anytime. Look, go Titans as long as it's +7, right? So,
we can get behind that. Appreciate it.
I love
Thanks.
All right, there's Eytan Shander with us this morning on the Mark Spade Real Estate Hotline. Let's react to some of that when we come back. And honestly, where Philadelphia in 2022 sounds a lot like the Titans in 2021. Next on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 104.5 The Zone.
Genesis Diamonds kicks off the holiday season with the largest luxury pre-owned Rolex event ever. This weekend, Friday through Sunday, Genesis has brought in an expanded selection of pristine, like new Rolex timepieces, hundreds in stock for this special event, including the all the hard to find models, Daytona, Submariners, Sky Dwellers, and more. It's an unprecedented buying opportunity for you. Great prices and special zero interest financing for 5 years. Come pick out your luxury pre-owned Rolex or get one for someone else. Get the watch of your dreams and spread your payments over 5 whole years. Also, Genesis buyers are on site for this event too. So if you already own a Rolex and want to sell it, you'll get top dollar or trade yours for a different model. All Genesis luxury pre-owned Rolexes are hand selected and rigorously inspected in pristine condition. And our selection has never been better. Don't miss this special event, this special holiday pre-owned Rolex buy, sell, trade event at Genesis Diamonds this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Genesis Diamonds and luxury pre-owned timepieces in Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Join 104.5 The Zone this Thursday at Buffalo Wild Wings in Clarksville for our next Titans football feast. Stop by for your chance to win Titans versus Jags tickets and giveaways each hour thanks to Miller Lite and Buffalo Wild Wings. That's Clarksville tomorrow, 3HL. For a full schedule of events, go to 1045thezone.com.
Ramon, Kayla, and Will is powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors here in Nashville. With Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson, I'm Will Bowling. Great conversation with Eytan Shander from Fox 29 Philadelphia, who had just a ton of insight on this Eagles team. And if you missed that conversation, check out the podcast wherever you download audio. Just do it every day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our show's pretty good. Leave a 5-star rating while you're there. If you don't like the show, maybe just keep that to yourself. But he was great. And honestly, a lot of the things that he says about this Philadelphia team reminds me so much of last year's Titans.
Yeah.
They're winning ugly, they're winning close, and people are knocking them for that. And in order to be a team that goes 10-1 in this league, you're going to have to win a lot of games close and get a lot of bounces to go your way.
Yeah. What was also interesting, too, though, is the AJ conversation. Like, they were shocked. Didn't think that was going to be able to be a thing for them. You know what I'm saying? And as much as AJ's means to him, I think the biggest point of it all, though, too, to what you said, they just want to beat you up as much as possible. I think they still play the run game as far as the offense goes, you know? Like, that's the biggest takeaway you have about this. Like, AJ, you mean something to us. But the way Jalen Hurts run and the way Miles Sanders runs, like, they got something that's, like, dangerous with an offensive line that they have. And he kind of alluded to that, too. Well, I appreciate you asking that offensive line question.
Always.
He got on it before you
Somebody's
could.
got to.
Yeah, and, you know, with this team specifically, and Will, you mentioned just the way that they're getting it done. It might not be they're dominating teams, but they seem to believe. And I thought that was crazy about the question that I asked, you know, with Nick Sirianni kind of taking on the identity of the fan. And in Philadelphia, that's what you have to do, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you really have to do. You have to play a part almost. But I think he's done a great job as a head coach. He clearly has lots of weapons to work with, but the way that it's been put together this year, I'll be the first to say, and I've said it on the show before, when people were kind of picking Philadelphia this year, thought that they would be a really good team, I was actually backing off a little bit because I didn't know what to expect out of Jalen Hurts. And from everything he said, like, Jalen has grown immensely.
Yeah.
And that is now being seen. It doesn't surprise me, the attitude going into this season, that he knew he needed to be better, because that's what we saw at Alabama and Oklahoma,
yeah.
But I think just the way that he's just not letting anything bother him, it's impressive.
Yeah, it is. And that's just him. But it's crazy how you compare one to the other. You got a crazy head coach.
Yeah.
But then you got him, Jalen Hurts, on the other end of that thing, just keeping it all together. That's some cool stuff. I'm more of a fan of him now than ever was at Alabama. That goes without saying.
Me too.
I mean, I noticed that for the first time with Nick Sirianni when I'm tuning in for the Braves and Phillies in the NLDS, and he's out there like drinking beers with guys in the suite at the Phillies game.
Yeah. You ever been to Eagles game too?
I have not. I have a friend that is from Jersey who's which I also for the longest time did not realize that's just literally Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Right there.
And she was literally like we're like right across the river. Like, we love the Eagles, like big Eagles family. Like, I wasn't allowed to go to games.
That's what I was just gonna say. If you're a Titans fan and going up, hey, be cool. That's all I'll tell you. That ain't the place to play around at on Sundays. I'm sorry. It just ain't. Like, walking into that stadium, when we go out there to do our pre-warm-up and stuff, nothing nice. And I ain't even painting it up like that, y'all. Like, it really is nothing nice. And don't let that crowd get going.
I was in college the year that the Titans beat the Eagles in Nissan Stadium with the Corey Davis overtime touchdown catch. And I was singing Fly Eagles Fly sarcastically while I was walking out of the stadium. And an Eagles fan like came up to me from like 50 feet away. I was like, "You want to go? You want to go right now?" I was like, "No."
Be serious, man. Go get you a cheese steak. See the Rocky Steps and statue.
That's what I knew.
And just be cool. Like, I don't want to make it sound like it's a crime scene, but they willing to throw mitts at any point in time.
They really are.
Yep. It's a fun city though. I'll tell you that much. If you want to go watch sports there, just I went to a Phillies game. It was fun.
Yeah, Phillies game is.
Yeah.
I can see that being the case. Well, you saw the run they had this postseason. Like, they were loud.
The whole city was lit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, but you know what? Hopefully they take a L regardless.
Hopefully the Titans come in there.
615-737-1045, our number. And next we continue the conversation with Rhett Bryan from Titans Radio and our weekly Scout Meeting Wednesday chat with him on how this Philadelphia team reminds him of past Titans teams and how this team has taken the personality of Nick Sirianni as well, like Eytan Shander just discussed with us. Four's up around Middle Tennessee, the final hour of the show when we come back on 104.5 The Zone.
9:01, good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer from the Superbook.com sports desk. In the latest college football playoff rankings that were released last night, Georgia remains number 1, followed by Michigan at number 2, TCU number 3, USC number 4. Meanwhile, Ohio State dropped to number 5 following Saturday's loss to the Wolverines. Alabama's number 6, Tennessee number 7, even though the Vols did defeat Alabama this season. According to reports, Lipscomb Academy's Trent Dilfer expected to become the next head coach at UAB. A deal hasn't been formalized, but the sides are reportedly expected to come to terms in the upcoming days. Lipscomb Academy faces CPA tomorrow in the Division II AA state championship game. To the World Cup, the U.S. men's national team advances to the knockout stage after defeating Iran 1-0. Christian Pulisic scored the game's lone goal, though he was injured on the play.
Desta snuck in behind. Desta in the middle. Pulisic scores! Might have paid the price, but the U.S. takes the lead.
It's Captain America to the rescue for the United States.
Pulisic says he'll be ready to play the Netherlands on Saturday. And the Preds defeated the Anaheim Ducks 2-1 last night at Bridgestone Arena. That was in overtime. Roman Josi scored in the extra frame for the victory. For our foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
And the show goes on for 60 more minutes on the Wednesday edition. Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. With an 11-year NFL veteran, a journalist whose J is always capitalized, and a best producer in the world, Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson. That's Jonathan Schaefer, and the best executive producer in the world, Rhett Bryan, joining us. This morning.
Nature boy.
How we doing?
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, I'm okay. I have finally gotten over the stinging loss to the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm ready to move forward and face the juggernaut known as the Philadelphia Eagles.
And it is an Eagles team that certainly, I think, has a lot of similarities to last year's Titans on the way that they've won, the way they run the football, and obviously a team that has A.J. Brown, which is something that we can get into. But before we kind of break down Philly, I want to go back to a little bit of Cincinnati.
Do we have to?
But specifically Traylon Burks this week.
Yep.
As much as Traylon Burks and A.J. Brown are always going to be tied together and unfairly compared, this week, it's a relevant conversation, and it's a good time to have the conversation because Traylon Burks is playing his best football in a Titans uniform right now.
He improves week to week, and you're starting to see the quarterback's confidence rise and throw it into combat catch situations, which is what he did with the former number 11, who's now with the Eagles. So, yeah, I see improvement every week. I mean, the head he played to jump on the fumble of Derrick Henry for his first touchdown, that tells me he's dialed in.
Simply right there, hustling.
Yep.
That's because I know that's for sure.
Didn't give up on the play.
That's what I'm saying. That's all Vrabel wants to see. That's how you get more stock in his emotional bank, right? By following plays, following on fumbles that turn into touchdowns. Like, that's how you get a better pro with Coach Vrabel, from my understanding.
Well, it is clear that after he had the turf toe and went on injured reserve and missed 4 games, he went into beast mode to get back. Yeah. I mean, because he looks different.
Yes.
I think he even carries himself a little differently, although he's a quiet guy. And I'm not saying he was like doing halvesies before. It's a rookie trial and error and you know, those things going from college to the NFL that every rookie faces, and some really rise to the occasion, and that's a short list. And there are others who have, you know, things that hurdles in their way, and I think he's making the best of it. And I'm very excited to see, what he does going forward. I mean, look, when he showed up in primetime in Green Bay, I was like, okay, there's what I'm looking for right there.
Yeah, 100%, man. Just that game in general, the Bengals, that's more teaching, learning. Hate that you let it slip, and I kind of said it in the sense like of anyone you lose. That one right there because of what it meant, whether we want to admit it or not, and the fact that AFC in a sense. But that team won't necessarily win their division, or they're not winning their division right now. You might get some get back.
The thing that I think stings you is that they beat you at your own game.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. They didn't have Jamar Chase, and that's no discredit to T. Higgins. I mean, that big monster guy and Tyler Boyd and all the rest. But they ran Samaje Perine at you, knowing that was going to be the thing. Joe Mixon was not an option in this game.
Right.
And they didn't stop it. I mean, the guy did what he needed to do. They played, keep away and with quick release stuff with Joe Burrow at the line. So they dominated the line of scrimmage on offense and defense.
Yep.
I mean, DJ Reader, we talked about it last week, what a big difference maker he was going to be in this after missing, 6 games with a knee injury?
Yeah.
And being on IR. And, all of that came to fruition. You didn't turn the ball over. In the one case you did, it ended up being a touchdown in favor of you. But, you didn't do some things like you did in January, but you didn't stop the explosive plays of their offense.
Yeah.
And you got to the red zone and you were 0-3.
What's crazy, though, Rhett, is the DJ Reader aspect of the game. Like, getting tackled or two here or there. In his postgame, he was more proud of the batted passes than he was anything else he did in the game. And that's what you bring with, like, a guy that's savvy enough to be on a second contract and finally coming back to the game.
Sure. Well, I look at him and then, a guy well in Mike Hilton, who, they schemed, brought him down, and, I mean, he effectively took care of Derrick Henry. I mean, he did. How many tackles did he have on Derrick Henry?
There's like
too many.
Way too many. You heard his name a lot. I'll say this, though. I'm a DA and how this goes, right, Rhett, and how I feel about it. If there's one lesson to be learned about this, teams that play the Titans going to attempt that Mike Hilton action of trying to get them in the backfield. If there is not an evolution of this offense to ghost somebody for the outside end of the line of scrimmage guy like a Mike Hilton, then we got a real problem. Because for Derrick to be getting hit before he goes, I feel like it's okay to kind of say, look, you saw it. Others are going to do it. Clean that up if you calling plays out here, Rhett.
Well, it's an issue and has been for a minute now. I mean, you look at Derrick Henry's last 3 games.
Yep.
And not just him, but the rushing as a team. I mean, 63 yards as a team. 88 yards as a team against Green Bay, 63 yards as a team, with Denver. I mean, got to do better than that. And look, I don't pretend to know what the deal is in terms of what how to fix it, but you've got to scheme something up to keep defenses honest, and then you've got to go out and out execute. You have to win those one-on-one battles. You have to be able to do that. Whether it's using Derrick and Dontrell Hilliard in diamond formations going, is he going to run? Is he going to catch a screen out of the backfield? Is it 40 or 22? What are we doing? And look, as long as – because, listen, the one thing that gets lost in this game on Sunday is Ryan Tannehill played a good game.
Oh, yeah.
It was not going to be about him and giving it away. He made that hurdle.
Yep.
And he's been playing good football. So, we need more Traylon Burks. We need more – I think we need more Chingaconquo.
I do too.
We need more, Bobby Trees. I mean, you got to have to incorporate some things to keep the defenses honest, to open some things up for this.
Bobby Trees.
Yes, sir.
This running offense.
So when you look at the Philadelphia Eagles offense, the first thing that comes to mind right now is just Jalen Hurts and what he's doing with the season he's having. I mean, he's really taken it upon himself to be that guy for this team. But he is not only deadly, he's had a great, look at things in terms of passing, but running the football, like this team, you have to watch out for this team. It's physical in the run game.
Well, Kayla,
Miles Sanders and then him.
Well, Kayla, you're right. It starts with him. And look, you can have all the conversations you want about Patrick Mahomes and Tua Tagovailoa and Josh Allen. Jalen Hurts is a legit candidate for the MVP right now.
You're right.
You're talking about a guy that's completing nearly just over 67% of his passes, 17 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, passer rating of 105.6. And then you mentioned the rushing, 597 yards on 127 carries, 4.7 a carry, 8 rushing touchdowns to go with 17 through the air. And he's doing it with accuracy, efficiency. You know, when he came out of Oklahoma via Alabama, we were like, okay, everybody could see talent there.
Sure.
But it's clear he's worked on accuracy, efficiency. You know, yes, you can describe him as a running quarterback because, I mean, he broke the Eagles' single-game rushing record that Mike Vick set a few years ago. He had 157 yards on the ground against, Green Bay the other night. Yeah. But he's clearly working on his craft in the passing aspect, leadership, the whole thing. I think he's a great young man by all accounts that I can tell. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, he's dangerous. And then, Miles Sanders has 900 yards rushing. And, we hadn't even talked about the defense. I mean, they offensively and defensively, they've got some scary numbers.
Yeah, and one of those numbers that you look at, I'm going to stay on offense. I'll let these guys chime in on defense.
But we're talking defense in the long segment, too. So.
The red zone offense has taken over the number one spot in terms of the Philadelphia Eagles. Titans has kind of dominated that for a while now. But, what are they doing so well down there? You mentioned Jalen Hurts in the 17. And
he's one of the great, factors in that. But he's got options, whether it's Quez Watkins or A.J. Brown. He has weapons in this. And the offensive line of theirs is doing quite well, by the way. But, number one in red zone at 72.5%. Top 5. They're number 5 in goal-to-go situations at 87.5%. Number 3 in the NFL in third and fourth down percentage. And number 3 in scoring, 27.5 points a game. Number 7 in time of possession. So they're doing something with the ball when they have it at 31.07. The one that stands out to me, and all of this goes to a 10-1 record, earmarks, is their plus 13 and turnover ratio, number 1 in the National Football League. That's about all I need to see, and we didn't even talk about the defense.
That's silly, Rhett.
Dang.
That's silly.
Well, let's talk about it's ridiculous. So next we talk about that defense with Titans Radio's Rhett Bryan, specifically what they do stopping the run and how new faces have changed the rotation and the formula for Nick Sirianni's defense. Rhett Bryan joining us for his weekly chat with us as Scout Meeting Wednesday continues next on 104.5 The Zone. Fourth and final hour of the show on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors with Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson and Rhett Bryan. I'm Will Bowling. Discussing a Philadelphia Eagles team that is ranked by many as the number one team in the NFL this year. It's where they rank at the top of the NFC, but they've been able to do that running the football and playing good defense. And Rhett, this defense specifically has got names that start, and they've got names coming off the bench. I'll start up front with Javon Hargrave, Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, Hassan Reddick.
Can we time out for a second on the defense?
Uh-huh.
Because there was a significance as to why we were playing Billie Jean coming back.
Uh-huh.
Today is get this, Ramon, the 40th anniversary of the release of Michael Jackson's Thriller. 40 years ago today.
Oh,
there you go.
What an album.
Oh, boy.
That particular song, I, like many youngsters, saw the 25th anniversary special of Motown on, I believe it was CBS, maybe it was ABC. The first time he moonwalked, I was like,
oh my gosh.
What was that?
Were you throwing
But Thriller, and I'm feeling a little old today, 40 years ago. I have original vinyl copy of that.
40 years
but,
ago?
That's awesome.
It is one of the all-time selling albums. 37 weeks in the Billboard Hot 100 from 1983 to 84. By the end of 1983, it had sold 32 million copies. It's over 75 million copies as we speak. It is engineered by the wizardry of one Quincy Jones. 8 Grammys it won in 1984, 7 top 10 singles, many of those number ones. And here's the icing on the cake. As we sit here today, 40 years later, it is number 7 with a bullet in the Billboard 200 album
That's nuts.
charts right now, 40 years later.
Can I just drop some songs off of it that they released as singles? First one was The Girl Is Mine.
Yep.
Paul McCartney.
Yep.
Number 2 on that list, not even number 1, Billie Jean. Number 3 on that list that they released as a single, Beat It.
Yep.
4, Wanna Be Starting Something. 5,
Jeez.
Human Nature.
PYT.
6, PYT.
Pretty Young Thing.
Yeah.
And the 7th one on it was Thriller.
Yeah.
That is insane.
Unbelievable.
My mom, you know those baby books? At least the first child got it.
Yep.
The baby books. In it, she listed all the albums she listened to when I was in her belly.
Yep.
And Michael Jackson, Thriller was number 1.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Isn't that crazy?
I'm telling you, between
That's
Rhett
good
Bryan
stuff.
and Mickey Ryan, y'all two could be a
Music.
music trivia team together, and there is
Yeah.
no one beating
I got
you.
my teammate right over here.
Right?
But, say what you want about MJ, but one of the greatest albums of all time, one of the best-selling albums of all time. It's just weird to me. It's 40 years. There's a 40th
That's
anniversary edition you can buy digitally on vinyl, CD, right now. But it went from number 115 in the Billboard 200 this week to number 7 with a bullet.
By the way, Thriller remains the best-selling album of all time with sales of 70 million copies worldwide. 34 times platinum.
40 years. That's crazy.
Yeah, it sold like 100,000 copies this week.
I'm going to listen to
Still.
PYT.
Really?
Pretty Young Thing.
Man.
Yeah, that was
PYT.
that's a nice song right there.
Love it. Well, we're hoping that the Titans offense is a thrill to us on Sunday in Philadelphia against this Eagles defense. And Rhett, looking at the defensive front, looking at the secondary, I know the injury to C.J. Gardner-Johnson, it's just hard to find a weakness on this defense.
Yeah. And Reed Blankenship, the rookie from MTSU, steps up and has a pick, the other night. So, but and then they bring in Robert Quinn. They bring in Ndamukong Suh. They have, Brandon Graham and all these studs throughout. I mean, they have them. And when you look at the tail of the tape with their defense, number 2 in the NFL, yards per game allowed, 304.4. Number 2 in the NFL in yards per play allowed, 4.8. Number 2 in the NFL in passing yards allowed per game, 183.6. Number 1 in the NFL in passing yards per play allowed, 5.36. Their interception rate, nearly 4%, number 1 in the NFL. Their sacks per pass attempt, top 5, sitting at number 4 at nearly 10% of the time. Point differential per game, 7.9 points, and yards differential per game, 78.
Wow. Yeah, number 2 total defense in the NFL in terms of yardage. Number 18 against the run. And if you're looking to find one statistical anomaly in what they do, Philadelphia has allowed 100 rushing yards in 6 of the last 7 games, and in the one where they didn't, they gave up 99. Some new
average
faces
120.7 for the season.
Right.
Yeah.
You mentioned Ndamukong Suh, Robert Quinn, some of those names. It's interesting to kind of see that rotation for Philadelphia be more set in stone because they're easing those guys into bigger roles. It hasn't just been all at once.
Right.
Oh, hey, we have
no, it's been
Javon
Javon Hargrave
Yeah.
and you know
just across the
Josh
middle.
Sweat. I mean, they've got
Fletcher
guys.
Cox.
Yeah,
Sweat had a game last week. What was he, 2.5 sacks last week or something like that, if I'm not mistaken? Just in general, and this is the part that gets you too. All right, sacks. Most quarterbacks, I think these days say, "Oh, screw it, I'll overcome it," right? But this is the other part of it. The quarterback hits that they have on this team. Like, it's one thing to get a sack, but it's also, look, the hits that they're getting on your quarterback when it's not a sack. Those staying in the pocket, getting hit in the face type of, like hits that they're actually having on this team too. And in general, the tackles for loss, that's where they thrive. And, yeah, you might get 100 yards on them rushing, but they also are going to get you on any gimmick play or behind the line of scrimmage more often than not. So it's very interesting. And also the guy up the middle, man, TJ Edwards, undrafted guy, always got to highlight those dudes, man.
Yep.
But ever since he took over the starting role last year, he's just been a dude. And so they're getting high output for a low-value guy up the middle right now that's simply making plays for him. I
mean, they're just – when you look at what we have gone over already this morning, it's easy to see why they're 10-1.
Yeah.
If I am looking at any film to discuss what I need to do, it's from a couple of weeks ago, oddly enough, against the Indianapolis Colts.
Yep.
Because they had to score at the end of that thing just to make it a 1-point win. So, I mean, that's the closest they've come to real defeat in the last several weeks. So I'm looking at that to see if there's anything that's a tell there. But the main thing is you're just going to have to regroup, and you're going to have to just flat out execute these guys. You're going to have ridiculously good tackling, which tackling was not as good on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're just going to have to outdo everything they do and just see what happens when it hits triple zeros.
And to me, Jeff needs a Robin this week more times than not. Because this group that he's going to face, they play with an edge. Kelsey, number one, is fast as ever. I don't even know what his 40 is, but his 10-10, Rhett, or his 5-10 yard, I don't know if there's anybody faster on the offensive line than what he's capable of doing. So those reach blocks, the way he comes at you and hits you, like Jeff's going to play bully ball with him, and they want to play it back with him also. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I'm like, all right, T-Air, like let's get our air up this week. You're going to have to go.
Get our T-air up.
Let's get our T-air up this week. in the sense that, led by Kelsey and having Lane Johnson at right tackle, they do play with the same edge that Jeff does. And it's not the impossible task in what we're saying here. But you got to know what you're going up against, Rhett B, Kayla, and Will.
You do. And look, Lane Johnson ain't no joke. I mean, they've got some dudes up there on this offensive line, or they wouldn't be doing what they're doing.
You had mentioned real quick, Ben Jones has been out for the past 2 games, and I am hoping and praying that Ben will be back. I mean, how much of a difference just having that guy in the middle?
And when we're talking about the run game, I think that's where it starts. Even though he would tell you and everyone would tell you it takes 11 to do it. But
sure.
Yeah, that would be the best formula for success to get started before you ever walk out there, is if you've got number 60 with you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It certainly would be helpful against Fletcher Cox, the defensive front for Philadelphia that we mentioned. And Kyle Phillips as well. I think we get an update on him and kind of his status. No, he's eligible to come off
He'll be
of IR
asked
now.
about today at Vrabel's availability. We'll see what happens. Don't know where he is in the process, but Ben Jones and Kyle Phillips will both be asked about in the first handful of questions, I'm sure. And I'm sure we probably won't know a whole lot of details because they hadn't practiced yet.
Sure.
So hopefully we'll know something on Ben Jones in terms of the concussion protocol.
Real quick, we had the kind of breaking news yesterday, the restructuring of Robert Woods' contract. Anything to look into with that, or just something that they wanted to do? Okay.
No, that simply, Kayla, is just the cost of doing business.
Yep.
If you look at I looked at their cap number on Spot Track a few days ago, and they were like $1.5 million over.
Yeah.
So this is just for the elevations and the roster moves they'll need to do business the last 6 games of the year. That's the thing. You see all these moves they make, and you don't put 2 and 2 together, but it adds up quickly.
Sure.
And so that was really to be able to operate, for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
How intense is the Philadelphia environment compared to other places that you've been? I'm already getting the laughs from Ramon these fans.
Well, let me say this: we don't go there that often. This is only like the 4th or 5th time I've been.
Wow.
But yeah, it's intense. I mean, I remember going to the vet the first time, and as we're wheeling in our equipment to go set up equipment in the booth, we go past the jail cells and the judges' chambers for immediate court process right there when you're that's a thing. When it gets out of hand and you are arrested, you go ahead and have your proceedings right there in the basement of the vet. There's also one at Lincoln Financial Field, I believe. But yeah, listen, I've seen them boo Santa Claus and Jesus up there. So,
hallelujah.
I just, it's just different. I mean, that's why I laugh every time somebody says the city of brotherly love. I'm like, where is it?
Where? Unless you're an actual brother of them. That's the only love you get.
But it can get intense. And that's what I've been concerned about for A.J. Brown all along, because A.J.'s fumbled twice in 3 weeks.
Yeah?
Yeah.
He ever gets an injury to go with that, and he's going to find out how difficult it was here, unfortunately.
I remember them
booing. It was a cakewalk here.
Booing Bryce Harper within 2 weeks of him being a Philadelphia Philly, his first week there, of just not, he wasn't playing particularly well. It's like, we gave all this money to this guy. Like, they'll turn on you quick.
Yep.
But also, I want to ask you about Devontae Smith, too, because SEC fans in this city are certainly familiar with him and watching him play at Alabama. And the concerns about his size and just being a little guy playing that position at wide receiver in the NFL. He's a little guy. He is. He looks like me. Is he not little? I mean, he literally was standing next to Nick Saban at the Heisman ceremony, and he's smaller than Nick Saban, who's also a little guy.
Oh, God. Nick is so small. That. Yeah, he is short.
Devontae Smith has kind of flown under the radar, no pun intended, Eagles, a little bit with A.J. Brown, too, and just taking the next step this year.
Well, and the thing about Devontae is he'll make you pay if you're not paying attention. So now, from what you mentioned in the size, not that the Titans have like monster corners, but you're not going against T. Higgins in that respect this week.
Right.
So I like the options there. And but yeah, I mean, I think Devontae is a nice piece to that offense to begin with. I mean, the guy's a Heisman Trophy winner. But yeah, there's always been concerned about his durability because of size or lack thereof. But yeah, he's had a decent year so far. But it's been more about A.J. Brown than it has been him.
Right.
But, A.J. Brown's a completely different receiver from Devontae Smith.
Right.
It's going to be interesting, too, man, on the side of who wants to do what for who in this situation. Meaning the Titans know how this worked out last year and everything, right? And how the conversation went earlier this year. Heck, I feel like it's been a while.
Yeah.
Earlier this year with the trade on draft day and just, AJ conversation before and after that, right? So there, as a team, you're my dog, but not today. Not this week.
You heard Kevin Byard say it on what was that, on Tuesday? On Monday.
Yeah.
And he was like, look, that's my boy.
Sure.
But, we got a job to do.
Yeah.
I mean, I look forward to seeing him, but and those dudes know his tendencies.
And see, the other part of that is you got AJ with his new friends trying to get him a win against his old team too. Like, I think, like Will said this earlier, this is the A.J. Brown week, and we really hadn't spoken much about it.
That's what's crazy. We've spoken about it more in the weeks prior than this week.
Well, I think part of it's the hangover of the loss to the Bengals too.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, I've heard the callers on the zone here all week, and they're not happy, and I understand why.
Yeah.
So a little bit of breaking news, actually.
Breaking news.
1 minute ago.
The
Eagles have officially opened the 21-day practice window for defensive tackle Jordan Davis.
Okay.
who could possibly
Just
be
look at
available on
Ramon's face.
Sunday to play against Derrick Henry, the Titans.
Yeah, the rich get richer on defense.
Ramon's just rolled his eyes.
That's all I'm saying.
All he needs another Georgia Bulldog coming in there.
Right?
You feel me? I just look
Sit
at this.
down, boy.
You feel me? Down. I just look at it and I do say if they were going to do it, and I saw clips of him running on social media too. This is the week. Why? Because they're not that great in the run game, depending on how you look at it as far as their defense goes.
120.7 per game average, 18th in the league.
And when it comes to Derrick coming into town, and them needing to get more pieces, that's the reason they went and got Linval Joseph too.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so Jordan Davis being back into the fold lends you to the fact that, look, the Eagles are really trying to bash everybody that comes into their place whenever they go into the road. You got to go get this team fast and in a hurry this weekend.
Well, and you look at the transactions that are happening and the teams that are leading in the driver's seat. They're preparing for the playoffs. I mean, look at the Kansas City Chiefs, and yesterday. Or this week, they've got Melvin Gordon on the practice squad, and who else was they put on the
Brandon Williams.
Yeah,
they want to just sign him.
There you go.
And this is
You're
also
loading up for the playoffs.
And that's the point I was making. When you get to this time of the year and just playoff ball, like you get up a score of 3 points, you want to be able to turn out and can just hold on to the dub right in most situations. What do teams always go back to in the playoffs? Oh, we got to run the ball. We got to milk this clock out. And you've seen two teams as of late, Kansas City and the Eagles both say, all right, we're going to commit to that then by signing guys.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the Titans can be dangerous if they take advantage of them on a bad day as far as run stopping goes for the Eagles or anybody else.
I was also going to ask about the kicking game, just in terms of Randy Bullock. What did you see last week out of the rookie, and do you feel like Randy's going to be back in the saddle here soon, or?
Well, it remains to be seen. We're going to find out, right? But I think Caleb Shudak did fine.
Mm-hmm.
Look, the one that they missed at half, the wind pushed that ball.
And it was windy.
I mean, it was
right?
that was a thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, so he could have very easily been 4 of 4, and he didn't look bad in kickoffs. I know they like him, and we'll see how much they like him as to whether he stays around or whether Randy comes back and does his thing. But Caleb has a leg.
Oh,
He
yeah.
absolutely has a leg. But, that's one of the other storylines as, we've been talking about, Kyle Phillips and his possible return from IR, and Ben Jones from concussion protocol. That's another one to follow. You're right.
Rhett Bryan, our guest every Wednesday in the final hour here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Enjoy a Philly cheesesteak for me if you get the chance
Will
to
you?
over the weekend.
Nice.
I might do that, yeah.
I love those.
They're so good.
Might be nice.
I love them so much.
2
Rhett,
words, cheese
Thank
whiz.
Yeah,
It's
with
gotta
the
be
cheese whiz.
It's got to be cheese
You better be
whiz.
quick with your order, too, because you go to Geno's or Pat's, and they'll yell at you if it's like, yeah, me regular onions, whiz. Go.
Whiz.
Yeah.
Whiz.
Schaefer,
I mean, it's like you go up there and you're hesitant, like, what do you want? Next. Who's the next in line?
exactly.
I'm serious.
Yes.
That's happened. It's like, hey, I was about to say onions and whiz. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Schaefer did roast me the
Jeez.
other day because when I went there last spring, I got it with provolone. I didn't get it with the cheese whiz.
Loser.
I know. The disappointment.
Come on,
in Rhett's
elitist. What are we doing, man?
All right, this is where I sent it to break.
Are you a man of the people or what? Come on.
Who's to
He's
say?
not the one that knocks anymore. I know that.
Oh, wow.
I just opened the
He's
door on my own.
knockless.
Yeah, you open the door now.
I mean, Will with the provolone.
Is that your final answer?
Next,
read this
Midweek
further.
Motivation with Inky Johnson, and no more conversation on my choice of cheese. Next on 104.5 The Zone.
Go to break.
40th anniversary of this album as we finish off our number 4 of Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors on 104.5 The Zone.
This gets me going.
It's classic.
It does. So classic.
Absolutely classic.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Official now, a press release from Lipscomb Academy this morning that head coach Trent Dilfer will be named the head coach at UAB officially as they coordinate the process with that. Lipscomb Academy, the Mustangs taking on the CPA Lions tomorrow at 11 Eastern, 10 Central in the D2AA state championship game. Mentioning the fact that Dilfer will coach in tomorrow's state championship game, and mentioning as well that it was important to make this news official with the community after it was leaked in the national media last night.
Or just not leak it at that time.
Whew. That is interesting, man. Good luck to him.
Yeah, I think he'll do a good job.
And I hope for the sake of those kids in that school, man, they do have a good opportunity to sustain what they built up. Because that's the thing about it. That thing was built up by those boys, those young men. And it's just rug pull right underneath you, right there, right from underneath you.
2 big high school football jobs opening in Middle Tennessee today while we're on the high school football coaching carousel news in Tennessee. Brentwood Academy head coach Cody White announcing that he is resigning. Eagles with a 5-star quarterback potentially in the sophomore class at Brentwood Academy, and George McIntyre, which is a name to remember, by the way. And that is a job that will attract a lot of attention. Coach White was great to me as a student broadcaster in high school. Always appreciate his willingness to be open with me, and great to work with since I was literally about 15 years old, which Jonathan Schaefer will probably say was a couple weeks ago, and I'll accept. But appreciate him, appreciate just the time that he's given me since he took the Brentwood Academy job in 2012, and happy to see him have so much success at that program that's been important to my family.
Sorry, I was on the phone with Inky. Did you say something about being in high school last week?
Oh, there we go.
I mentioned we're talking about Trent Dilfer, the high school coaching carousel. Mentioned Brentwood Academy head coach Cody White also announcing his resignation today. And I said he was kind to me as a student broadcaster, as a high schooler, which Jonathan Schaefer will probably say
that was
last week. Yeah.
See?
A couple weeks ago.
There you go. On cue.
You know it.
Also, Titans wearing all white.
Really?
Yeah.
One might say that is the best Titans uniform look.
I'm all navy. I'm traditional.
Really?
Yeah, I like the traditional, clean look.
See, I go navy on white is my favorite. The navy jerseys and the white pants. That's what I grew up watching the most, probably. Yeah. That's the one I like the best.
Okay.
I think of Mac 9 when I see. I think of Mac 9 when I see the
you
navy.
Like wearing? Would you like wearing all white?
I would wear all white. I would.
Okay.
Let it roll, KK. Feel me?
Yeah.
Y'all wore the same jerseys.
Confident.
You wore the same 2 jerseys for 11 years.
We
throwbacks. The black ones with
color rush.
Color rush.
Like
That's
we
right.
had the Bumblebee. And my rookie year, we had the black with big gold letters with the white pants.
Those god-awful bumblebees.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about the bumblebees.
I love the Bumblebee
terrible.
jerseys.
I remember, because there was
socks.
the Thursday night game that you played against the Titans.
Yeah.
Which was the game where they debuted the Madden camera, the Skycam as the primary camera.
Oh, yeah.
Marcus Mariota threw a couple of interceptions in that game, and you watched it happen behind the quarterback as the primary camera. I was not happy about
I know you weren't.
Remember the sideline ones in basketball they tried to do for a short time? Sorry, but that just gave me
Motion sickness.
Yeah.
Terrible.
That was so bad.
Special thanks to everybody who joined in on the show this morning.
Yeah, great.
Been a fun show.
Yeah, good group today.
Eytan Shander, Brian Rice, Scout Meeting Wednesday with Rhett Bryan. As always, we are back at it tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Coach Dave McGinnis, Emily Proud talks college football with us. Emily with CBS Sports and 247. Looking forward to that. And looking forward to the way we close out our Wednesdays with our guy, VFL Inky Johnson, giving us a little bit of midweek motivation. Inky, hope you had a great Thanksgiving. How are you?
Had a phenomenal Thanksgiving. How are you guys?
We're great.
What's up, Hank?
No, man, it's an honor to be on. As usual, man, I'm glad you guys are doing great. And just to get us started, man, I got a quote that I want to kick us off with. And it reads, regardless of what challenge you are facing right now, know that it has not come to stay. It has come to pass. During these times, do what you can with what you have and ask for help if needed. Most importantly, never surrender. Put things into perspective, take care of yourself, find ways to replenish your energy, strengthen your faith, and fortify yourself from the inside out. And so in football, we have this thing called alignment and assignment, right? And so I often ask people, like, man, are you in alignment in terms of life, right? Character, in terms of mission, in terms of purpose, in terms of that thing that you feel you've been put on this earth to do? Are you in alignment? Goals, dreams, values, morals, like, are you in alignment, right? And so there's a quote, man, that I love, and I often refer back to it, like, every week as my guide personally. And it says, you can preach a better sermon with how you live your life than your words, right? You can preach a better sermon with how you live your life than your words, because oftentimes it's far easier to tell a person what to do than to actually do it, right? And so I said something in a video on a podcast recently, and it seemed to resonate with a lot of people, and I want to bring it to the airways. And so they asked me, what was my definition of character? And I said, when what you do, what you say, and how you live your life becomes one. Essentially what I was saying was, when what you do, who you are, and what you say is in alignment. And so I got a question for you guys, and I had the same question for myself. Did you grow this year? All right, we got a couple of more days and weeks in this year. We all started off with goals, dreams, and aspirations. I want you to look at them and evaluate them and say, man, did I really grow this year? And are the things that I want and the things I aspire to do, are they in alignment? Do you have character? When what you do, what you say, and how you live your life becomes one. Be the reason that somebody believes in the goodness of people today. Go be great. Peace.